South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Finally!
This is Hanging with Hennig.
I have friends everywhere.
On 97.3 ESPN Radio, South Jersey.
In New Jersey. Am I right? Yeah.
Live feed on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It seems to run on some form of electricity.
Well, you're not wrong.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together.
Now, here's your host.
He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig broadcasting live from the 97.3 ESPN Studios, Hanging with Hennig. 97.3 ESPN FM, and yes, we are streaming live, as always, on X and YouTube at 973 ESPN. Glad everybody on board the show today. We got a busy show coming up today. Don't mind my hair. I did cut around my hat. If you're watching on YouTube and X, we got a busy show to get to because the Eagles have had a very interesting week. And there were developments that happened last night that will impact the rest of the weekend. And part of the reason why I am OCD trying to keep up with Twitter and X. And by the way, to all the people in sports media, please, for the love of anything holy and sacred, stop tweeting and posting about things that nobody cares about. We want to know if A.J. Brown's traded. We want to know if the WBC results. We want to know if there's an injury. We don't care about your kid winning a prize. Stop using professional social media platform if you have like hundreds of thousands or millions of views, okay? Because you're messing up my time feed. We also got a poll question we're going to get to here on 97.3 ESPN. We will post it at Josh Hennig at 97.3 ESPN. So our question of the day, and I think Nick Earnshaw would be a question that he might want to repurpose for Nick's Nuggets next week when he joins the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Text board is open at 609-403-0973. No cost issues. Cost prohibitive. No, if financials were not an issue, if you had to get season tickets for the next 5 years to one of the Philly teams that are not the Eagles, we're taking the Eagles out of it, who are you getting tickets to? Phillies, Flyers, Sixers. We'll put the poll question up in a little bit on X. You can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. Plenty of Eagles conversation to get to today, along with the NFL. Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press will join us coming up at 2:25. Andy McNamara from the Sporting News at 1 p.m. And we have the Ivy Rehab Injury Report. Dr. Josh Lamb, which is coming up, at 1:25. As, listen, the Sixers have more injuries. It's like a fact of life at this point. And it's probably going to be part of the reason why they fall into the play-in tournament and this team doesn't go anywhere. But we got to start with the NFL off the top. And again, the question of the day. If you had to get season tickets to any team that's not the Eagles, okay, that's the caveat. It cannot be the Eagles. Phillies, Sixers, Flyers. You're locked in for 5 years. No, cost not prohibitive. Let me know. But speaking of the Eagles, so many of us spent yesterday trying to figure out what was going on with this Dallas Goedert situation. Many of us were trying to figure out, is he going to sign? Is he not going to sign? What's going on here? And then the news came out from Zach Berman that the Eagles had pushed back again, for the second time, the void date for Dallas Goedert. Diana Rossini reported yesterday from The Athletic. Both Berman and Rossini work for The Athletic. Rossini reported that the A.J. Brown discussions had basically stalled. My translation. And then there was a very interesting conversation last night on NFL Network. And I got to be blunt with you guys. The fact that more people are not talking about when Mike Garafolo said on NFL Network last night shocks me. So let's go with on the NFL Insider Show on NFL Network. Mike Garafolo talked about what is going on with the Eagles, with A.J. Brown, and with Dallas Goedert. Take a listen.
Tom, they've had conversations. They've continued to have conversations. Some folks in Philly are like, will you stop? He's not getting traded. Okay, then why are they talking? They've had plenty of conversations. And my understanding, talking to sources informed with the talks between Eagles and other teams, is they've had momentum toward deals in recent weeks and days and over this period of negotiating. They haven't completed those trades. They haven't resulted in an agreement on a trade for various reasons. They just haven't come together. There's a lot of stuff going on with the Eagles.
So a couple things there. One, he talks about how they've gotten a lot of phone calls. And the conversations were going somewhere, but didn't result in anything. And I think that is where this gets very interesting. Because when you think about the calls they're getting, now the initial reports is that it's the Patriots and the Rams. Not to read into what Garafolo said, but it sounds like more than just the Patriots and the Rams are calling for A.J. Brown. All right? Now, apparently, the A.J. Brown decision is connected to the Dallas Goedert decision. Now, I had taken the position yesterday on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. I had told Mike Gill that my opinion was that you have a player in Goedert who wants to be here, or he wouldn't agree to keep pushing back this void date. He wouldn't keep delaying his own free agency if he didn't want to be here. So with that being understood, what is really going on? Mike Garafolo, break it down for us.
The Dallas Goedert part of this whole thing is a big piece of it because Dallas Goedert had a void, and if it triggered, it was going to be a $20 million cap hit to the Eagles. That got pushed once. As my man Zach Berman in Philly reported, it got pushed again, now till Monday. That's a part of it because Goedert and Brown are sort of interconnected. The Eagles can't pay Goedert if they're keeping Brown, and they can't take both cap hits.
That's where I think the conversation needs to evolve. From that point right there, the Eagles are only trying to trade A.J. Brown because they can't keep both Goedert and Brown. The way their cap is situated. Now, again, we're not going to get into the economics of capology here on Hanging with Hennig. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN, streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio. I'm not going to get into a deep dive into capology and caponomics, but just to give a very quick, small explanation. So for the Eagles, in order for them in the coming years to re-sign other players, you can't be tied down with too many cap hits. And that's why this Goedert and Brown thing is so connected, because you cannot be in a situation where both Goedert and Brown are doing to your salary cap what the Sixers have done to their salary cap. Remember, the Sixers can't do anything because their hands are tied to a chain link fence with what's his name? Joel Embiid and Paul George's contracts. Those contracts have become basically a ball and chain on the 76ers' existence. Howie Roseman is not Daryl Morey. He is not trying to tie himself. He's not trying to put himself in a position where that is going to happen. And I don't blame him. So Goddard keeps delaying, not once, but twice, his own free agency because he wants to come back to Philadelphia. And the Eagles are saying, well, I don't want to pay. I don't want to be stuck with two big cap hits that are going to limit my ability to build a championship roster. And that's where the A.J. Brown part comes in. And as Garofalo explained on NFL Network last night, Howie Roseman is not making calls. He is receiving calls. A very different, very important delineation.
This is going to continue to go over the weekend. I don't sense real momentum right now on this, but I'm sure Howie's going to continue to have conversations. I shouldn't say make calls because he's been receiving calls. Have conversations on A.J. Brown over the weekend. We'll see. He's still an Eagle right now. Will he be? At this point, I don't know. I'm tired of guessing.
We're all tired of guessing, Garofalo, but we appreciate the breakdown. So Howie's still receiving calls. The expectation is that this is going to continue through the weekend. And there's another layer to this that Garofalo didn't touch on last night on NFL Network's NFL Insiders, which is part of the reason why the Eagles are trying to trade A.J. Brown. Let's break it down. Number one, they're trying to move on from A.J. Brown because they can't keep both him and Goddard, or you're going to end up in 76ers cap hell. Number two, Albert Breer explained previously to Jeff McClain of the Philly Inquirer that A.J. Brown's own representation has already been looking into a world where A.J. Brown is not an Eagle.
I know that A.J. Brown's camp has done recon and checked in with different teams to sort of figure out, like, okay, who's really interested. And I think part of that to me is like, maybe like, how hard do we want to push this? You know, if you know who is involved and you know some of the teams out there, then that is going to call, okay, like, is the grass really greener? You know, there's some of that interesting back and forth happening here.
And remember, whether they want to overtly say it or not, there seems to be a mutual respect society between Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel and A.J. Brown. So I think big picture wise, right? Maybe not in the most, overt sense, but I'm sure that, last week, actually 2 weeks ago now, when everyone was at the NFL Combine and they're drinking at 1 o'clock in the morning. And, a lot of these deals that we have seen this week, they were made 2 weeks ago at 1 o'clock in the morning on a napkin that someone made sure that didn't get wet. That's how it goes in the NFL. The reason why it's called the no tampering period, right? But you're actually tampering anyway, so nobody actually is going to call horse manure on it. But guess what? If you want to keep Dallas Goedert, you can't keep A.J. Brown. And if A.J. Brown's people are calling about moving on, at this point, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. You're already so far down the road. And I think that's why teams are calling as well. They're calling because they know that A.J. Brown is to be had for the right price. Now, also, a couple days ago, Patriots insiders Tom Curran and Mike Girardi, who work for NBC Sports Boston, they are the Patriots version of like our, the people who cover the team down here. This is what they said about their expectation for the A.J. Brown situation.
doesn't do Philly really any favors to make the deal now because of the massive hit that they take on their cap. So that's why I've kind of indicated this could take some time.
Who knows if this is a game of telephone, but talking to people who work in the league for teams, they all believe A.J. Brown's going to end up in New England. So I'm sort of with Tom, like this probably takes a little while. They've got the runway here. But to me, eventually, and now that you have Dobbs too, it's less of a, oh, you've got to give us the 1 and the 2. No, we have a good player who we think can be a number 1. How about a 2 and a 4? I think it's eventually going to get done.
It's going to eventually get done. But he's right. The Eagles don't want to take the cap hit unless they get the price they want. And that's where the other teams get involved. That's where the Rams have called and other teams have called to say, hey, Patriots, we got other teams who have called us. It's time for you to make up your mind. How bad do you really want to win a championship? How bad do you really want A.J. Brown? And how much will you regret if A.J. Brown goes somewhere else? I said there's a third layer to this. Philadelphia still needs a pass rusher. There's a lot of speculation. Again, not reporting, speculation out there. But sometimes, as Q Myers would say when he joins Mike Gill in the Sports Bash during the week here on 97.3 ESPN, where there's smoke, there's fire. And you can't ignore smoke and fire. So, there's a lot of speculation out there that the Eagles want to parlay the picks that they get for A.J. Brown into acquiring a pass rusher. So it would be the NFL equivalent of what the NBA does with like a 3 or 4 team trade, where A.J. Brown goes to Team A, draft picks go to Team B, and the Eagles get a Jonathan Grenard or a Josh Sweat. That's what is going on the other side of the coin. This is not just about A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert. It's also about saying, hey, we lost Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips was a very good player, but we were unwilling to pay $30 million a year for him. So as a result, you don't want to be in a situation where you are making things more complicated and creating a dynamic where you go into the draft and now you got to draft a receiver and a pass rusher and an offensive lineman and a tight end. You know Howie Roseman. Howie hates going into the draft with a to-do list. He wants to draft best player available. He always has. He always will. So if that's what Howie wants to do, what are his options? Well, his options are he'll have to trade for somebody. And that's where certain guys come into the conversation. Now, what is the deal with Jonathan Grenard? For those who don't know, Jonathan Grenard is probably one of the more underrated pass rushers in the NFL. He had a down year last year. Do you know why he had a down year last year? Well, 1, he was dealing with injuries. And 2, he was on a team that had a ton of injuries around him. The last time he was fully healthy was 2024. He had 12 sacks, 22 quarterback hits. So he's a guy who also can set the edge, like Jalen Phillips. He's also a guy who can drop in the coverage. This is a guy who has 14 passes deflected as an edge rusher in the NFL. Think about how crazy that is. So he's a versatile player. And even more importantly, and here's the most important part, get ready for it, he's affordable. He is not under contract beyond 2027. That's what really makes this interesting. What really makes it interesting is you have a player who can be had coming off a down year. You could turn it around and maybe, just maybe, get him. And for a team like the Vikings, do they want to trade Grenard? Of course they don't. But the Vikings also know they're going to save $15 million if they do get rid of him. The other guy is Josh Sweat. Former Eagle, knows the defense. You know what he's capable of. He's on a bad team. And at this point, you might be asking, well, Sweat left here to get a payday. He did. But that payday, he's almost out of guaranteed money. And you know how that works. When guys are running out of guaranteed money, they're a lot easier to trade. Now, his cap hit is more of a negative for a team like the Cardinals than trading Grenard would be for the Vikings. So I'm not, again, this is speculation. This is not reporting. But I think this is why all of this is going on. Because it's a tiered approach. You heard Mike Garafolo mention it. They can't keep both A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert. Goedert keeps delaying his own free agency to be here. A.J. Brown's own people have been looking to see on which side of the fence is the grass greener. Or at least they perceive as greener. I don't know if it actually is greener or not. And the Eagles know we need to get a pass rusher. Because again, I said it once and I'll say it twice. Howie Roseman is not Daryl Morey. He is not Dave Dombrowski. He is not going to pigeonhole himself. He is going to put himself in a situation where he can do what is best for everyone. And part of that is put the best team on the field and do not go into the draft with a to-do list if you can get the guys in the regular season. And again, the question of the day, Billy Schwein might even like this question. Billy, you want to grab the microphone really? All right. Grab the microphone really quick. So my question of the day, Billy Schwein, the locker room, 10 a.m. to noon here on 97.3 ESPN, Saturdays and Sundays. So really quick, I won't keep you long. The question of the day is, no cost issue at all, right?
Okay.
If you had to get 5 years, you're locked in for 5 years for season tickets. Are you going Phillies, Flyers, or Sixers? Eagles are out. You can't.
Phillies, Flyers, or Sixers?
Because everyone would want the Eagles. So you got to pick between in the next 5 years. You're locked in. And you get whatever seat you want, right? You could be behind home plate in a baseball. You could be on the boards in hockey, right? You could be courtside for the Sixers, but you're locked in for 5 years
For the whole complete season.
Season tickets. You got to lock yourself in.
That's a good question, Josh.
You got to pick one.
Well, for me, it's between the Phillies and the Flyers.
Okay.
That being said, I would say the Phillies are probably the best value, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much, right? No restriction.
No restriction. No cost prohibitive. Someone literally is going to buy you the tickets. Let's say
if somebody's going to buy me the tickets, I'd probably get the Flyers because they're more expensive than Phillies tickets. But I would say Phillies are the best value. But since I'm not worried about money, I'm going Flyers.
Now, how much of that is because you know the Flyers are a younger team?
I knew you were going to ask that question.
Well, that goes into it, does it not?
Yeah, that has a lot to do with it, really. I mean, obviously my relationship with Rick, so I want to see him do well. I want to see. Look, we haven't had a Flyers playoff run since 2020, Josh, and I'm ready for it. So yeah, I go Flyers. Phillies are a close second because there's nothing like going to a baseball game in summer. Baseball's a pastime. Right? You go hang out, you enjoy the nice, beautiful day, the night. You get to watch a ball game. Flyers is more intense, right? So I definitely do the Flyers.
All right. Billy, thank you for participating in my poll question of the day.
All right, thank you. I'll see you, Josh.
Locker Room with Billy Schwein tomorrow at 10 a.m. to noon here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll check out the text board coming up next. Your thoughts on, yes, Rick Taki will be on the show with Billy Schwein tomorrow. If you haven't already heard, he will be on the show tomorrow, the head coach of your Orange and the Black. Text board on the other side, your thoughts on the Eagles, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert. Also, how are you guys feeling about my poll question? If you had to pick one team, you get season tickets for the next 5 years. Phillies, Flyers, or Sixers. Let me know. 609-403-0973 is the text board. We're also streaming live on YouTube and X at 973ESPN. And don't forget, next week's Hanging with Hennig on 973 ESPN for the first weekend. You know that big college basketball tournament that happens every year? You get your brackets out. You're hanging out with your buddies. Well, come hang with Hennig next Saturday at Hang Time Bar and Grill in Galloway. We will be there 12 to 3 p.m., hanging out, watching the games. So come out and join us. 973 ESPN broadcasting live from Hang Time Bar and Grill. Looking for a great happy hour or night out with friends and family? Hang Time Bar and Grill, located on the White Horse Pike in Galloway, has live music every Tuesday night, DJ Bingo every Wednesday night, and check out their 30 TVs to watch your favorite team play any time of year. Enjoy all the college basketball tournament action in March with food and drink specials at the main bar, or check out their new private back deck patio. Plus, you can watch all the madness with Hanging with Hennig broadcasting live at Hang Time Bar and Grill in Galloway on March 21st. Check out Hang Time Bar and Grill on Facebook and Instagram to learn more about their weekly specials and one of the best happy hours in South Jersey on the White Horse Pike in Galloway at Hang Time Bar and Grill.
For 23 years, we've helped athletes at all levels at Clemic Performance Method, from youth to pros, increase maximum velocity, acceleration, vertical leaps, and general physical preparedness. We offer youth, high school, and pro college classes. Our proven results have earned national recognition from NFL coaches, sponsors, and a feature on ESPN Radio's Sports Science segment. You can contact me directly at 609-742-6190, or as always, visit us on our website, ClemicPerformanceMethod.com.
Automotive Avenues, your family-owned, pre-owned dealership is growing and now has a second location in Sewell. Automotive Avenues brings the power of wholesale to the public. They make financing easy. Good credit, bad credit, no credit. You are still approved. Find out why Automotive Avenues has won customer satisfaction awards for the last 8 years. Discover why everybody loves Automotive Avenues of Sewell on Delsey Drive, or check out their expanded inventory now at automotiveavenusnj.com.
Sound familiar? At Mattress Firm, we understand there are many problems that can keep you up at night, like snoring, aches and pains, or sleeping hot. Our sleep experts have the unrivaled know-how to match you with a mattress that can help. And now at Mattress Firm, upgrade to a Tempur-Pedic and learn how you can get 3% back plus an instant gift. For the great sleep you deserve, visit Mattress Firm. We make sleep easy. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
At Sturdy Savings Bank, we're making it easier for first-time home buyers with up to $30,000 in grant assistance. Through the 2026 Homebuyer Dream Grant Program, Sturdy Savings Bank will provide professional guidance, mortgage options, and all the tools for your Homebuyer Dream Program grants of up to $30,000. Visit SturdyOnline.com. That's SturdyOnline.com. Subject to program eligibility and credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, and MLS number 410428.
Hi, I'm Chef Franklin Becker. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. There's only one FDA-approved Ozempic made by Novo Nordisk. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5, 1, and 2 milligrams.
Bobby Lee is coming to Ovation Hall at Ocean Casino Resort on Saturday, May 2nd. And yes, he promises to behave, at least a little. See the comedy star from Mad TV, The Bad Friends, and Tiger Belly podcasts. Tickets are now on sale at theoceanac.com. That's theoceanac.com. Experience the show everyone is talking about. Don't miss Bobby Lee on May 2nd at Ocean Casino Resort. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Need a new car and have no idea. It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
26 Matt Blatt Kia Sportage, $129 per month. All new 27 Matt Blatt Kia Telluride, $339 per month. Plus, get up to $3,000 over KBB fair market value for your trade.
Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
24 months leases, $59.99 due at sight. Call 888-506-4132 for details. Offers don't combine. Expires month end.
For over 135 years, First Bank of Sea Isle City has proudly served Cape May County with a commitment to maintaining a hometown feel. We provide secure, convenient deposit and loan products every day. We're more than just a bank. We're a trusted community partner, offering personalized banking solutions that make life easier for local families of all ages. First Bank of Sea Isle City. Look for our lighthouse in your neighborhood and discover what makes us different.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Now back to Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
I don't want them to gain another yard.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
You blitz all night.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Hanging with Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig here in the 97.3 ESPN Studio. Check in on the text board in just a bit at 609-403-0973. Our poll question is up at 973 ESPN. Also, we got Andy McNamara from the Sporting News joining us coming up at 1 p.m. The Ivy Rehab Injury Report, talking the latest Sixers injuries at 1:25, and Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press at 2:25. Don't forget, Hanging with Hennig being brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook, the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. The action's heating up on the court. There's no better time to start betting like a Caesar. Every bet during the tournament earns you perks like hotel stays, bonus bets, game tickets, and more. What are you waiting for? Download the app by using my promo code RADIO, DYW, and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets. Rule your play with Caesars Sportsbook. Open to new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. Max bet $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings $2,500 per bet. Profit boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's check in on the text board now. 609-403-0973. Again, we are streaming live on YouTube and X, as always, at Josh Hennig, as we do each and every Saturday, Hanging with Hennig, 12 to 3 p.m. on 97.3 ESPN. Let's backtrack here. We got Jeff from Summers Point chiming in on the text board at 609-403-0973. He says, "Good afternoon, Josh. I love football and have Eagles season tickets now. With that being said, I have always said hockey is the best sport to watch live. So I would definitely take Flyers season tickets." Now, that's interesting because Billy Schwein would say, well, I'm friends with Rick Tocchet and I love, I want to see the Flyers do well. Whereas Jeff is taking the personal out of it and he's saying, hey, I think this is actually the best sport to watch live. And I think that if you're going to have season tickets, you definitely want to have it to a sport you're going to enjoy watching, right? Maybe, Jeff, you're not someone who loves basketball or baseball as much as watching hockey. So I think definitely, people's personal preference will definitely lean into this. Jeff from Ocean City chimes in on the text board at 609-403-0973. He says the answer has to be Phillies. They have Harper, Turner, Schwarber, Wheeler all locked up. Get to see a lot of great baseball for the next 5 years where the other two are unknowns. Plus, you get 81 games over 41. So I would parse that into two parts, Jeff, from Ocean City. I would say that my only concern with the Harper, Turner, Schwarber, Wheeler deal is I think Wheeler has said that he does not want to play to his 40 years old. Wheeler's going to retire in the next couple of years. So he won't be here at the end of that 5-year run. And let's be frank, Turner and Harper are probably not going to age as gracefully as we all would like them to. So my working theory is that maybe you don't go to the Phillies for those guys. You're going to go for the future. Andrew Painter, Justin Crawford, Aiden Miller, who's eventually going to come up. And then Schwarber will keep hitting Schwarber bombs, for the next 5 years. Now, the other side of it is the 81 versus 41. This is where, in my mind, I would lean into the idea of, do we believe that it will be easier to sell Phillies tickets than Sixers or Flyers on the open market? The resale opportunities, right? Do we factor that into this conversation? Where we look at the Phillies and say, hey, I'm not going to go to all 81 games. I have more opportunities to sell them on the resale market. 41, yeah, I'm not going to go to 41 games, but I'm going to go to a majority of those 41 games. Are you really going to go to a majority of those 81 games? Interesting thoughts there from Jeff in Ocean City. 69403-0973. Johnny G chimes in. What's up, Johnny G? He says, hey, Josh, Phillies for 81 games, hands down. Loving Saturdays with Hanging with Hennig, says Johnny G. Go Phils. So I feel like Johnny G and Jeff from Ocean City are kind of on the same page, where it's like you're getting more games. If you love baseball. Now, again, not everybody loves baseball, right? I think Jeff in Summers Point, he obviously is more of a hockey guy than a baseball guy. So that's where this is interesting. That's where to me at least, it gets very interesting to see what would you prefer. I know for me, 81 games, again, season tickets, I don't have to spend a dime for them. Someone's either giving them to me, or they're paying for it, or there's no issue with cost, right? But I'm locked in for 5 years. My only concern with the Phillies is, do we really believe that 5 years from now, those tickets still going to be worth it? Or do we look at it as, who cares? It's baseball. Johnny G, thanks for joining me on the text board at 609-403-0973. Steven Ventnor chimes in on our Eagles conversation. He says, I'm not exactly excited to see A.J. Brown walk out the door. Yes, we needed a all-pro level defensive player and useful starters in the draft. He goes on to say that he would only trade A.J. Brown for a handful of players. Well, the problem is, Steven Ventnor, is that I don't think the Eagles are looking for players. They're looking for draft picks. Let me bring up what was said previously. So here is what NFL insider for Sports Illustrated, Albert Breer, had to say about what the Eagles are looking for in an A.J. Brown trade, because the Eagles are saying this specific player who was older than A.J. Brown when he was traded, this is the type of package we want in return for A.J. Brown.
The way the Eagles view this is like, and the comp I think they're using, and I've heard a 1 and a top 100 pick on top of it. The comp there that they're using is Devontae Adams being traded from the Packers to the Raiders, which, if you remember that year, it was a 1 and a 2. It was a current year 1 and 2, which is an important piece of it too. And Devontae Adams at that point was an older player, which is why the Eagles are using that as the comp.
So, Steven Ventnor, you can say you would only trade A.J. Brown with certain players, but the Eagles don't care about the players. The Eagles are trying to get draft picks. And theoretically, draft picks that might be appealing to somebody else. Because most teams don't want to trade player for player. There's financial implications. There's salary cap restrictions. And most teams are not comfortable watching their fans, because some teams are like this, not the Eagles, but other teams. They're not going to with fans doing the whole, well, we could have had this guy, but you traded him away conversation. And listen, I understand where you're coming from, Steven Ventnor. On the text board at 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig hanging out with you in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios at Josh Hennig on X and YouTube. When you think about A.J. Brown, watching him walk is not exactly getting anyone excited. But the Eagles do have a history of moving on from guys before they start regressing. They have a history of moving on from players before it becomes a problem. And you could argue, is A.J. Brown's value any higher than it is right now? I think that's part of the conversation. Part of the conversation is, if you were to consider trading this guy, what would you get for him? Because when A.J. Brown does regress, when A.J. Brown does start dropping off, and then you get nothing for him or something marginal for him, then what do you do? Now, I am on the minority side of this conversation where I understand that I don't look at A.J. Brown as irreplaceable. I just don't. I don't look at A.J. as a guy who cannot be replaced, especially with a coordinator like Sean Mannion. Mannion comes from offenses. He was with the Packers. He's been in the Vikings organization with Kevin O'Connell. Packers with Mike LaFleur. He played under Sean McVay in, the Rams, Los Angeles. Let's call them St. Louis Rams. I haven't been St. Louis Rams in a decade, Josh. Bad job by me. But seriously, what is Mannion's experience? They might have a top target, but that top target is not the only target. So you look at the Rams offense under Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell's offense with the Vikings, the Packers offense with Mike LaFleur. All of those offenses distribute the ball. Part of A.J. Brown's problem is that he seems not to like when other people have success and he doesn't. So if you move on from him, maybe it's easier for you to spread the wealth, to spread the pigskin, to get the ball to different people in different situations. And that's where, in the draft, I do like some of these NFL draft prospects. Also, Juwan Jennings is still out there in free agency. So if you have a guy in Juwan, let's say you sign Juwan Jennings. So now you got Jennings and Devonta Smith, and you also have Darius Cooper, who apparently the Eagles still like a lot. And let's say you come out of the draft with a guy like, I'm just putting names out there, okay? A Denzel Boston of Washington, an Amari Cooper Jr. of Indiana, Zachariah Branch from Georgia, a Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M, a Chris Brazil from the Orange, Tennessee. Malachi Fields is a guy I know some people like from Notre Dame. Chris Bell is pretty much built just like A.J. Brown physically and talent-wise. He's from Louisville. You could draft a guy, let's say in the second round, and now you got 3 receivers plus a young player you develop. Again, I'm not saying that it's going to be that. Something to think about. More text coming on 609-403-0973. Jeff from Port North will get you in before we hit the break. He says, happy Saturday, Josh. I would take the Phillies regular season tickets because if I can't go, I'd be happy to give it to my friends. Well, first of all, Jeff from Port North, you must be a great friend for you to be so willing to give tickets to your buddies. I don't know if everyone would be as generous as Jeff in Port North, because I know someone like me, I'd probably try to sell some of those tickets. I got to be honest. But I think also some of it has to do with, what is your perspective on these things? Like, would I give some of them away myself? Yes. I would have friends or, family members or whoever who I'd be like, hey, I really want to take care of this person, But when you have 81 games, am I really going to give away 80? Let's say I go to half the games. Just throw out a number. Let's say I personally go to 41 of the 81 games. All right, just throw out a number. I still have 40 games left. Am I really giving away 40 games to my friends and family? Probably not. I'm probably selling some of those. Especially if it's like, Mike Trout weekend or something like that, where it's like I know people are going to be scrambling wanting to get tickets. All right, we'll get to more text in just a bit. 69403-0973 is the text board. Josh Hennig hanging with Hennig on 973 ESPN. So to come with Andy McNamara for the sporting news at 1 p.m. The Ivy Rehab Injury Report coming up at 1:25 p.m. Dr. Josh Land from Ivy Rehab Physical Therapy Centers. Also, Rob Mai of the Associated Press coming up at 2:25. We'll keep going with your texts as well at 609-403-0973. Again, the poll question of the day up at 973 ESPN. If you were given, you have to buy them. You're not buying, no money out of your pocket. Season tickets to one of the teams, but you're locked in for the next 5 years. Phillies, Sixers, Flyers. We'll keep you up on the poll question. By the way, for those who are wondering, today, Sixers play at 1 p.m., Flyers play at 7:30. You can hear both of those games on our sister station, Rock 104.1, or on the Rock 104.1 mobile app. So if you're looking for those games, Hanging with Hennig is still hanging with you the rest of the day, because after me, we will have a college basketball triple header, Big Ten tournament, Big East tournament, ACC basketball tournament. Hear all of the college basketball action all month long right here on 97.3 ESPN. All right, still to come, more your texts, more your thoughts, as well as a little perspective on one of the reasons why I think the Sixers should not be the answer to this question. You heard me kind of throw some shade at the Sixers earlier. Well, I'm going to throw a little more shade coming up, plus more football talk here on Hanging with Hennig. Josh Hennig hanging out with you, 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. We are streaming live on YouTube and X at Josh Hennig in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios.
Lanier in transition, hits the three. Now with 5, he drives on Maddox. Right elbow with 3, spins to the foul line. Jumper up and it rattles in at the buzzer.
Don't miss any of this year's action on the road to the Final Four with Westwood One's exclusive coverage of the men's NCAA tournament.
Listen to the NCAA tournament, the first 4 on 97.3 ESPN. Tuesday night. Coverage begins at 6:30.
Catch all the college basketball tournament coverage on 97.3 ESPN. Brought to you by the New Jersey Lottery's Millionaire for Life.
Tired of cooking and planning all of your meals each and every day? You need Prevail Nutrition to simplify your life. For almost a decade, Prevail Nutrition is a local meal prep company located in South Jersey that allows customers to design their own meal plan. Or you can choose from a wide variety of chef-designed meals on their weekly changing Prevail Selects menu. You can order online for pickup or get free delivery on orders of over $50. Prevail Nutrition delivers to Atlantic and Cumberland counties along with Ocean City. Or you can pick up your meals every Monday and Friday. Learn more about how Prevail Nutrition can simplify your life. Visit their website at prevailnutrition.club. Check out Prevail Nutrition on Facebook and Instagram. Prevail Nutrition is my go-to choice for prepared meals and foods. Order online, like me, at prevailnutrition.club.
Making your home look brand new is what Work of Art Construction can do for you. Ready to remodel your bathroom or have a kitchen makeover? Art Masker has 40 years of experience in construction and knows how to make your home look like a work of art. Want to install a new back deck or invest in a new front door? Just call Art Masker at 609-788-4271 to learn more. Visit Work of Art Construction on Instagram to see how Work of Art Construction can make your home look brand new. Beautify your home with Work of Art. Call him at 609-788-4271 and let them make your home truly a work of art.
Need a new car and have no idea. It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
26 Matt Black Kia Sportage, $129 per month. All new 27 Matt Black Kia Telluride, $339 per month. Plus, get up to $3,000 over KBB fair market value for your trade.
Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
It's gotta
24-month leases, $59.99 to inside. Call 888-506-4132 for details. Offers don't combine. Expires month end.
Go to get your game on at the Fanatics Sportsbook in the Gallery at Ocean Casino Resort. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go where fans become fanatics at the Fanatics Sportsbook in the Gallery. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hop in a John Deere Gator XUV for a day's work. Let's see what's on the to-do list. There goes the tree. And the fence. Not a problem. Because you've got a cargo box filled with solutions. Up to 4,000 pounds of towing capacity. And you're ready to roll.
The power's out!
Here we go again. The Gator XUV, built for every kind of workday. Learn more at johndeere.com/Gator XUV. Nothing runs like a deer.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
Tired of the runaround? Then drive over to Bridgeton Auto Mall, where the savings this month are a slam dunk. We've slashed prices on our massive selection of new and pre-owned vehicles. Whether you need an SUV for the family, a fuel-efficient sedan, or a truck for the job, we've got the perfect deal to help you win big. And our award-winning service department is here for all oil changes, tire rotations, even major repairs. Don't miss your shot. Bridgeton Auto Mall on Pearl Street in Bridgeton or online at drivebam.com.
If your bracket doesn't turn you into a millionaire, the New Jersey Lottery's new game, Millionaire for Life, just might. Catch all the college basketball tournament coverage on 97.3 ESPN. Brought to you by the New Jersey Lottery's Millionaire for Life.
Make plans to make the trip to the Pick for Wild Game Weekend. Try duck gumbo, wild boar flatbreads, bison nachos, and venison burgers made with recipes you'll only find in the Pines. Wild Game Weekend, March 13th through the 15th at the Piccalilli Inn, Route 206, Chemung, New Jersey.
Hanging out at the Piccalilli. No work tomorrow. Everyone's happy. Beers keep coming. Tails piled high with friends and family. Spirits to the sky.
Visit Piccalilli.com.
Now back to Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Hang with Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN. Text coming in on the text board as always at 609-403-0973. Don't forget, in less than 10 minutes from now, you'll be joined by Andy McNamara from the Sporting News. He will join us here on Hanging with Hennig, as he does each and every week on 97.3 ESPN. Plus, Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press at 2:25. And the Ivy Rehab Injury Report. More Sixers injuries. But I'm telling you right now, the injuries are not the only reason why. Not at all the only reason why the Sixers are so far behind in our poll question of the day. If you had to get season tickets for one team for the next 5 years, who you locking in with? Eagles are not an option. It's Phillies, it's Sixers, it's Flyers. You can vote at 973 ESPN X platform, or you can text in with your thoughts at 609-403-0973. Evan from Little Lake Harbor continues to be the greatest hater of all time. Although I would like to meet Evan from Little Lake Harbor one day and ask him, first of all, why he always texts in all caps, and two, why does he have so much hate in his heart? Like, to have this much just emotional energy spent into this is actually impressive from Little Lake Harbor. But he says 5 years from now, the Phillies will have the exact same team. They should have taken a hit from the Mets and jumbled up the core. Hope y'all are still mad about Bo Bichette. So, Evan from Little Lake Harbor, obviously you're a Mets fan, which is fine. I have people who I know who are Mets fans, Giants fans. you're overlooking the fact that the Mets didn't really jumble up their roster. They were forced into a situation out of necessity that they had to make certain moves. Their plan was never to get Bo Bichette. They kind of just backdoored their way into it, and they found a way to get him. You're still talking about a team that lost Pete Alonso. I think that's a huge loss for the Mets. Tell me how that works out. Luis Robert Jr. will probably get injured for the 20 millionth time this year. So you're going to lose your center fielder. Okay, fine. You got some nice young players. But I don't know how much of the WBC you watched, but one of your young studs had some trouble. Nolan McLean in the World Baseball Classic. Is he going to have a sophomore slump? Freddie Peralta, is he continue to be an innings eater? Clay Holmes, people going to figure him out? It's not as simple as, and listen, I'm not sitting here going to argue the Phillies are going to be great either, Evan Lillig Harbor. I'm just saying that I don't know if the Mets are the example at all. The Mets are a team with an owner who wants to spend money, and he's kind of been forced to make certain moves out of necessity. I don't want to shortchange Angie from Tuckerton. So I see her text here. I do want to read the part because she gets into the Eagles, but she says, I'm taking the Sixers. I don't want to leave the beach in the summertime. I'd rather watch the Phillies at a local restaurant on an ocean front. Live basketball games make you feel like you're part of the action and being able to cheer for the Sixers while I have a chance to see players like Victor Wembanyama, Luka Doncic, SGA, etc. play in person. See, I'll get to your Eagles point a little bit later, Angie, but I thought that was a very interesting point about the Sixers. You're saying, number one, I don't want the Phillies to want to go to the beach. Very fair. Number two, you're looking at it as, I'm not just going for the Sixers, I'm going for the other players as well. And I would say that I think most people who watch basketball, they're not going just for their team. A lot of those times you're going to see the other star players from around the league. That's a more than fair comment from Angie and Tuckerton. All right, more Hanging with Hennig coming up here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. We will get back to the football conversation on the other side with Andy McNamara for the sporting news. Plus, get your text as well in the next hour, 609-403-0973. With the Angie's other Eagles point next hour, as well as Matt and Kay make Courthouse. Your texts and more, keep them coming in. 609-403-0973. What's also interesting about all of this is that, Angie mentions the beach. Are the Phillies good enough to draw you away from the beach? I know some people, it's definitely not. Something to think about.
Sunday morning in the locker room with Billy Schwein, producer Alex Berardis, and my intern Aaron Ewan join me in the studio. We will recap the Flyers-Columbus Blue Jackets Saturday night action, and we'll talk with Flyers head coach Rick Tocchet about his team and moving forward. Hour 2, Mr. Negadelphia P.J. Korda checks in with his comments on the Philly sports scene. Brought to you by the Vassar Pool Service. Phillies, Eagles, Sixers, talking more. It's the locker room with Billy Schwein, Sunday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.
Colorectal cancer is highly preventable and treatable when it's caught early. We're seeing more cases of colorectal cancer in younger people. Here with more is Dr. Andrew Morgan, colorectal surgeon with AtlantiCare.
The screening age for average risk patients is now at 45 years old, and that can be lower based on symptoms or on your family history.
What are some of the symptoms?
Blood in the stool or noticing a change in your bowel movements. If you're feeling tired and weak for no reason or have lost weight unexplained, talk to your doctor and see if you qualify or should be referred for screening. Our gold standard is colonoscopy done under anesthesia. There's really minimal discomfort to the patient, and you get a report from your doctor right away afterwards.
Again, first screening should start at age 45 for people of average risk. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Did you know rechargeable lithium-ion batteries should never go in the trash? They can spark fires and put collection workers at risk. Dispose of them safely at ACUA Household Hazardous Waste Drop-Offs or recycle them at participating hardware and battery stores. Learn more at acua.com/batteries.
Xfinity Tech Support, Matthew speaking.
Hi, I live in a pretty remote place, like Jurassic Park remote. Oh!
Wow.
Will Xfinity Mobile work out here?
Yep, the combination of reliable Wi-Fi and 5G makes it so that you can stay connected in all kinds of places. Plus, you get access to ultra-fast speeds and coverage, whether you're poolside or out live streaming with a T-Rex.
Hold still, you're about to go viral.
Welcome to a new era of Wi-Fi boosted mobile. Cut your mobile bill in half with 2 lines of unlimited. Learn more at xfinitymobile.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Watch Jurassic Park with Xfinity. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Internet required. Savings comparison based on promotional rate for 2 lines of Xfinity Mobile Unlimited versus 2 lines of T-Mobile Experience More, Verizon Unlimited Plus, and AT&T Starter as of February 10th, 2026. Taxes, fees, extra.
Need a new car and have no idea. It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
26 Matt Black Kia Sportage, $129 per month. All new 27 Matt Black Kia Telluride, $339 per month. Plus, get up to $3,000 over KBB fair market value for your trade.
Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
24-month leases, $59.99 due at sight. Call 888-506-4132 for details. Offers don't combine. Expires month end.
South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Finally! This is Hanging with Hennig.
I have friends everywhere.
On 97.3 ESPN Radio, South Jersey.
In New Jersey. Am I right? Yeah.
Live feed on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It seems to run on some form of electricity. Well, you're not wrong.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together.
Now, here's your host.
He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Josh Hennig.
Second hour of Hanging with Hennig, brought to you by Prevail Nutrition, South Jersey's best meal prep service, delivering to Atlantic and Cumberland counties, plus Ocean City. Listen, you got to simplify your life. Summer's right around the corner, right? You want to get out of the house. What happens when you get out of the house? You're busy. You're seeing friends. You're going to events. You don't always have time to prepare meals. Remember to eat if you're me. So let Prevail Nutrition simplify your life. Go to prevailnutrition.club to get your meal set up. They deliver every Monday and Friday to Atlantic and Cumberland counties, plus Ocean City, or you can pick it up in Absecon. And don't forget, with Prevail Nutrition, they can customize orders if you ask them to. Ashley has been doing this for almost a decade. She is the best in South Jersey with meal prep. Check him out, prevailnutrition.club. All right, we'll get back to the football conversation now. Andy McNamara from the Sporting News joining us, as it has certainly been a wild and crazy week, just week 1 of the NFL offseason, and we'll get into it, all of it now, with Andy McNamara from the Sporting News. Also, he's the host of the Sick podcast. He joins us right now on 97.3 ESPN. Andy, welcome in. How you doing today?
Hey, doing good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, before we get into anything like hyper specific, okay?
Right.
For you, was there so far, like thus far, a move or a decision that really has stood out to you so far more than any other? Because I know there's one for me. I want to see if yours is going to be it or not.
I would say one that, like for humorous reasons, is Geno Smith going back to the Jets. Not that that's going to be a huge impact one, but that one just makes me laugh because, of course, the Jets draft Geno. He stinks. He resurgence of his career in Seattle, goes to Vegas, stinks again. I was like, now's the time to bring him back. Now he's there. Now he's the guy. So that stood out to me as being hilarious. But like other than that, I think what really stood out was the Max Crosby debacle, followed by Trey Hendrickson signing, and it just seems like the Ravens got away with a whole bunch of crazy and shady bleep under the NFL's nose.
Well, let me ask you this, because you didn't name the move that stood out to me, so let's tell the Trey Hendrickson thing real quick first. I don't think they did anything necessarily shady for this reason. other teams have done this before. The Ravens have done this before.
Yes.
So
They're such shady buggers, Josh.
But my point is that, like, if other people have done it before, and the Ravens have done it before, and no one's ever actually, like, called shenanigans on it. But now all of a sudden, it's March 2026, and it's like, how dare you? You know what it is, Andy? Everyone loves Max Crosby. Max Crosby is such like every dude wants that guy on your team, right?
Yes.
Every fan, every player, they want Max Crosby on their team.
Yes.
So I think that's what it's about. Like, if it
and
was,
the premium of the picks, like it was a big deal. Ravens have never traded first-round picks before.
For a player.
For a player, yes. That's a big deal. So maybe it also goes down to like that was a mega deal, and then it's like, oh, his knee isn't good. It's like, what are you talking about? Right? Like, okay, well, you knew he had surgery and it didn't pass. Really? Yeah. But you're right. And bottom line, whether you like the Ravens or not, which I do not, but whether you like them or not, if it's not against the rules or in the rule books and you can do it, you do it. Okay. Right?
Yeah. And that's where I say, now listen, nothing against Trey Hendrickson. He's also a great human being. He does a lot of work in the community like Max Crosby does. If you had to make like a wall of great human beings in the community, right? You know, Hendrickson and Crosby are both on that wall, unlike Deshaun Watson. So,
well, that's true.
You know, to me, the move that actually I'm the most fascinated by is Kyler Murray to the Vikings. Because, you know, Kevin O'Connell made Carson Wentz like a functional quarterback again, right? And Kyler Murray is on this exclusive list where it's like him, Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson, I forget the other guy, where it's like, you know, 20,000 passing yards, 4,000 rushing yards. Like, the dude's productive. He's just been playing on bad teams. And, you know, there's been a lot of reporting out there that the Cardinals were very loose in their discipline and their structure with him, and they kind of let him do whatever he wanted. You know, maybe he needs a former quarterback who's going to grind him a little harder. Maybe he needs a little wake-up call because he has the talent. No one's ever questioned his ability. It's just like, I'll never forget, for those Eagle fans out there, Andy, there was a game a couple of years ago that Kyler Murray almost beat the Eagles. And the precision he was driving down the field for that, like trying to get a game-winning drive.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting there watching with my buddy, and I'm like, am I watching Kyler Murray or John Elway? Like, what is going on here? Like, because, you know, he's got the fastball. You know, he's got a great arm. He's just a small dude. And I think, you know, if any, I think Kyler Murray is going to do to the Vikings what Daniel Jones did to the Colts. He's going to make the other guy look irrelevant.
Right. Well, and how, by the way, can I get some flowers for my accurate depiction and prediction on J.J. McCarthy?
Oh, you
Since
hated
before
him
the draft? Hated.
You didn't like him in college.
I hated him in college. I hated that the Vikings drafted him, and then I hated they gave him that opportunity. Total bust. As I said, and I said since day one we was drafted, what do I say, Josh? I said Mac Jones with better hair, and that's a disservice now to Mac Jones because Mac Jones turned out to be okay. But to your point for Kyler Murray is, first of all, I'm sure you saw the memes as I did, where it's like the little kid walking through the airport shaking hands with everybody.
Someone sent me one with a little kid doing squats on the squat rack.
I mean, I saw that one too. Maybe I sent you that one. I was
Maybe
all
you
over
did.
it. I might have sent that one to you. But okay, my concern is this. So small guy, injuries now coming up. You lose a half step. We see at the combine, Josh, every year those defenders get bigger, meaner, and faster, and they'll get you. But it's really interesting that Minnesota is becoming this resurgence factory. It's if you're a quarterback who's got talent that needs a reboot, you know, you get put in and you come out of it and you're successful. That's the reputation it's getting. And to your point, look, you got a bunch of weapons still in Minnesota. I think Kyler Murray there for fantasy football purposes is much better news for Justin Jefferson than a J.J. McCarthy, right? So I think you're right. There is a real chance that this could be a resurgence for him. I never liked the size, obviously, and I think the injuries might be piling up. So I'm going to go into it cautiously, but I do think at least there's a chance he can get those weapons elevated a little bit more. And hey, you can't argue with the results of Minnesota.
Talk with Andy McNamara from the Sporting News, NFL writer, joining us here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN, Andy MC81 on the X platform, and Andy MC Sports on Instagram. Let's get to the Eagles, because this whole saga has gotten very interesting, because, you know, there was all kinds of speculation about, oh, look at the Eagles. They pushed back the deadline for Dallas Goedert to Friday.
Right.
Now they pushed it back to Monday. And for those who didn't hear, Mike Garafolo explained on NFL Network last night that the Eagles are basically saying they cannot take both the dead cap hits of A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert, that they got to pick one or the other. And, Andy, I think it's very interesting that the Eagles are basically saying, we're not overtly trying to trade A.J. Brown, but there's a lot of people calling us about A.J. Brown. So if we can get something for A.J. Brown, we can use it to help us. And also on the flip side, how interesting is it, Andy, for a player to say, I'm not going to hit free agency. I'm going to keep pushing back my free agency so I can return to a team. Like, Goddard has to agree to push back this deadline. It's not like the Eagles are doing it on their own. So It's like, this is a very interesting situation where it's starting to look more and more like A.J. Brown is gone and Dallas Goedert is staying in Philadelphia.
Which is fascinating. But we've also seen over, the last day or whatever, that rumors coming out that lots of teams have inquired, but that the Eagles didn't like what they heard for offers for A.J. Brown as of right now. Doesn't mean the door's closed. And other teams know this too, Josh, right? So does their conundrum affect what other teams offer? Like, maybe we're thinking about it first, but we know you're in a pinch, so now it's a second or something. You know what I mean? Like some sort of attack like that. There are teams that need A.J. Brown, no doubt. Like Romeo Doubs going to the Patriots, nice addition, but he's not A.J. Brown. Okay, you want to go over the top? That's not A.J. Brown. So you got a guy who you can bring in right now and win. I'm still perplexed that the Bills didn't make that happen. I think that's a complete miss on their end. But for Dallas Goedert, okay, cool, you want to be an Eagle, but man, like if you're Philly, to me, you got at some point, and we went through it a little bit last week, there's 2 or 3 tight ends I feel you can get in rounds like 2 to 4, 5-ish that could pop in and at least be a part of a tandem. And you just got to start finding that replacement for Dallas Goedert, because we know the injuries pile up, and I'm not sure what they're going to do, but there's got to be some sort of offer for A.J. Brown that the Eagles like. Or, Josh, maybe they're going to have to settle and decide what's more important, that dead cap hit or, get a little bit less.
Well, I think that's where the other side of the conversation is, Andy, which is there's a lot of speculation out that the Eagles want to parlay whatever they get for A.J. Brown to get a Jonathan Grenard, Josh Sweat kind of trade. So it's like, give me what I need, I'll flip it to get something else. And I think the other part of the problem is, Andy, these teams, they're analytic departments, right? Oh. And you cover the Browns. You know a little too well how dangerous
largest analytics department in football.
So for those who don't know, and I'm just putting it out there, a lot of teams, they are looking at the 2027 draft as better than 2026. So you have to wonder in the back of your mind, how many teams are willing to trade picks right now, knowing that next year is going to be the stud draft, so they don't want to trade picks. And maybe is there a team that turns to the Eagles and say, look, I'll give you picks this year,
right,
but I ain't giving you picks next year. So now the Eagles are turning to a team, I'm just using them as an example, like the Patriots. There's a lot of reporting out of NBC Sports Boston right now that the Patriots are going to get A.J. Brown, where the Eagles telling the Patriots, look, you got to give us more, because we got the Rams and other teams calling us for this guy as well.
Right. And it's an interesting standpoint you bring up, because, okay, next year's draft could be better, but, and I'll use quarterbacks for an example, Josh, and you can project different position groups and all that. Things change so quickly and drastically. This time last year, nobody knew the name Fernando Mendoza if you weren't in California. Maybe not even then. Nobody knew. It was supposed to be Kate Klubnik and Garrett Nussmeier going 1-2. Book it. Guaranteed. Year before that, it was supposed to be Brock and yours going 1-2. Didn't happen. Right? So for us to say, oh, next year's, and for teams to say, oh, next year's in projections, and you're right, they do it. It's like, okay, well, maybe not. You're an injury away. So we know at quarterback, somebody's going to pop up. We say it every year. We don't know who that is, but someone's going to pop up and be the next Fernando Mendoza who's going to be elevated up. So if you're the Eagles, it's like, okay, maybe you want that deal for 2027, or maybe you do listen to something for this year and you take what you know now, not like you need a quarterback if you're Philly. And it's a deep defensive line draft. We know the Eagles love doing that. It's a decent linebacker crew. Like you got wide receiver. You get rid of AJ Brown. Josh, I can name you 3-4 guys, not to the AJ Brown level right now, but boy, you slot them right in there in Philly. Boy, man, you give me a little Jacoby Lane, 6'4", 40-inch vertical. You get him in the second, maybe third round, probably for Philly second round.
Well,
I'd be happy with that.
Well, there's also a scenario, Andy, where Juwan Jennings is still a free agent.
He's pricey and maybe it comes down. For what he was, right. I was seeing, he's expensive. Like, I don't want to overpay for Juwan Jennings, but maybe like Rasheed Walker with the Packers, who was projected to get $20 million a year, 3-4 year deal. That didn't develop. He went 1 year to the Carolina Panthers for 10, which is a spectacular deal for the Panthers. So maybe it goes down for Jennings like that.
What did you think of Reek Woolen getting 1 year, $14 million?
Right. Well, that's another situation where you have this is the first wave of free agency, right? Mm-hmm. And so now you see players who maybe are like, okay, well, over that first tampering period, hey, I'm not getting that 3-4 year big deal. But for Wilson, it's I got 1 in 14. Okay, I'll take it and bet on myself to get a bigger contract next time, right? And so like for Walker, again, it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to. This is a 7th round pick, by the way, top left tackle free agent, in my opinion. Right. Rasheed Walker, that guy was getting what? $200K a year, whatever a 7th rounder gets. And now he's getting 10 mil. Maybe he looks at it as like, well, I'll take it.
But wasn't that also like an example of a team being desperate? Like some of these teams, I think there were a lot of teams, Andy, that miscalculated the market. You know, you saw the Eagles when it came to Jalen Phillips, right? You know, the Eagles were like, we want to keep him, but not for $30 million, right?
Right.
You know,
right.
You see other teams where like they thought they were going to bring a guy back, or they thought a guy was going to be at a certain price range, and another team swoops in and is like, here's a bag of money. And if you're a player, unless you're like hyper committed to a team, right? You know, you're not saying no to like a big bag of money.
No. You take it, right? Because you can be as committed to a team as you want, but we know if they need to save some on the salary cap, bye-bye, right? It's like any industry today for the most part. They can save $1, you're gone. You got to take care of yourself. You got to get that bag. Devin Bush with the Browns, perfect example. Browns side, we think we can re-sign him. Bears offered him a bunch more cash. He took it. I don't blame him for that. That's why it's so important. If you want to keep a player, you don't let them reach free agency. If you want to keep player X or Y, why are you not getting those negotiations done in November and December? Right? That's the time to do it because you don't have that pressure. It takes two sides. Maybe a player wants to hit the market and see. I don't know. But if you really want a player, that's the time to do it. Not wait and see and like, maybe, because then you're rolling the dice. And then you do get surprised with situations like we just said.
I think it's very interesting that you see which teams, like you said, they planned ahead and the teams that didn't.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, you know, we get all enamored with all these moves in free agency, but we forget that some of this is reactionary. You know, it's,
sure,
I can't believe fill in the blank player is available, right? You know, it's the idea of like I think one of the reasons why a guy like Jaquan Brisker went to the Steelers is because he was the opposite. I think he thought he was going to have a big market. He didn't get it, and he had to settle for a deal with the Steelers. Like, I think some of these teams and players, I think there was a lot of miscalculation, a lot of, you know, a lot of smoke and mirrors, shall we call it, at St. Elmo's at 1 o'clock in the morning in Indianapolis.
Yeah, at the Combine. That's when these deals start festering around. You know, you got a whiskey or two at the bar after, and rumors get going, and you're talking, and you're trying to get deals done, or you're not. And it is going to be interesting to where some of these veterans go, because now we're at the point, Josh, where you could see a Juwan Jennings, a Stephon Diggs, I don't think Joey Bosa signed yet, right? Did Nick Bosa, I think, is
Joey Bosa is still hanging out there. Yep.
Okay. I know one of the Bosas, I think, got re-upped, but Joey's still out there. You're going to have these guys now who don't be surprised if we don't hear anything for another couple weeks, right? Like after that first wave of money, now there's not really that urgency. Now teams can kind of step back, see what they can fill in around that. And an example is, I'll use the Cleveland example again. So they lose Devin Bush. What do? Now, to your point of reactionary, let's get Quincy Williams from the Jets, who their new defensive coordinator, Mike Rutenberg, knew and coached up and made an all-pro when he was with the Jets. So now you have a reactionary part to fill in that. And nobody really was, jazzing up Quincy Williams too much, but looks like he could be a good fit. So I'm expecting, probably no urgency on a Jawan Jennings, Stephon Diggs, Joey Bosa, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, right? Like we think Aaron Rodgers would go back to the Steelers with Mike McCarthy, but we know he's an odd dude. I think it'd be foolish to predict fully what we think Aaron Rodgers would do, right? He has to go into his hole and take whatever thing he does and meditate or something. I don't know. Sit in the Hobbit hole. What does he do?
Exactly. Andy McNamara at AndyMC81 on the X platform, at AndyMC Sports on Instagram. The Sick Podcast. Like, subscribe, download wherever you get your podcasts. Andy, tell us what you got going on the Sick Pod.
I'm gonna actually put out a episode today. We're gonna take a look back at the first week of free agencies, do some grades, some wins, losses, what to expect going forward. Because now, Josh, when these and a look ahead to when these mock drafts start coming out, and now with this first wave of free agency, now we start to see, okay, what actually might these drafts look like? Because before free agency, you're guessing. Now you have teams who have filled needs or did not fill needs. And now we start connecting. And this is the part of the year I really like, because now we can really start putting these pieces together and think, okay, who could go where? So we'll put that all together on YouTube, The Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara. And we'll have some more news up on the sporting news as well, all on X at AndyMC81 and Instagram at AndyMC Sports.
Andy, always appreciate you jumping on. Take care, my friend. And I got some good news. We are almost to April, which means we are almost out of the misery of this winter season.
Let's hope, man. Always glad being on with you, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Andy McNamara joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. We will check back in on tech sport in just a bit. 609-403-0973. Coming up on the other side, the Ivy Rehab Injury Report. We will get the latest on Tyrese, Maxey, and Kelly Oubre with Dr. Josh Lamb from Ivy Rehab Centers here in South Jersey. Josh Hennig hanging out with you. 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. Just follow at Josh Hennig. Looking for a great happy hour or night out with friends and family? Hang Time Bar and Grill, located on the White Horse Pike in Galloway, has live music every Tuesday night, DJ Bingo every Wednesday night, and check out their 30 TVs to watch your favorite team play any time of year. Enjoy all the college basketball tournament action in March with food and drink specials at the main bar, or check out their new private back deck patio. Plus, you can watch all the madness with Hanging with Hennig broadcasting live at Hang Time Bar and Grill in Galloway on March 21st. Check out Hang Time Bar and Grill on Facebook and Instagram to learn more about their weekly specials and one of the best happy hours in South Jersey on the White Horse Pike in Galloway at Hang Time Bar and Grill.
Making your home look brand new is what Work of Art Construction can do for you. Ready to remodel your bathroom or have a kitchen makeover? Art Masker has 40 years of experience in construction and knows how to make your home look like a work of art. Want to install a new back deck or invest in a new front door? Just call Art Masker at 609-788-4271 to learn more. Visit Work of Art Construction on Instagram to see how Work of Art Construction can make your home look brand new. Beautify your home with Work of Art. Call him at 609-788-4271 and let them make your home truly a work of art.
If you dread dealing with your insurance more than getting stuck in an elevator with an overshare, bean burrito for lunch.
You have Insuranoia. You should have NJM. They go to great lengths to do what's best for their policyholders. Insurance underwritten by NJM Insurance Company and its subsidiaries.
Okay, I have to tell you. I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the...
Designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your...
Windshield wipers. eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
We're here with our industry ace for roofing and siding, Iron Shield Roofing and Siding. For those who may not know you, what's your specialty?
We specialize in residential and commercial roofing and siding, including repairs, full replacements, and new installations. Our focus is on protecting homes and businesses with quality workmanship that lasts.
What makes Iron Shield different?
We bring over 30 years of experience. We're family owned and operated and fully licensed and insured. We also offer free inspections and estimates so customers can understand their options before making a decision.
Why is it so important to stay on top of roof and siding maintenance?
Your roof and siding protect everything underneath. Catching small issues early prevents bigger, more expensive problems later and helps maintain your property's value.
Where can people learn more?
Visit our website or give us a call for a free inspection at ironshieldroofingsiding.com, 609-358-3853. That's ironshieldroofingsiding.com, 609-358-3853.
Hi, I'm Chef Franklin Becker. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. There's only one FDA-approved Ozempic made by Novo Nordisk. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5, 1, and 2 milligrams.
If your bracket doesn't turn you into a millionaire, the New Jersey Lottery's new game, Millionaire for Life, just might. Catch all the college basketball tournament coverage on 97.3 ESPN. Brought to you by the New Jersey Lottery's Millionaire for Life.
You're hanging with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Hey, you know what? There's another name you might know me by. Star-Lord.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Who? Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Hennig back here on Hanging with Hennig, 97.3 ESPN. It's time for our Ivy Rehab Injury Report. We'll get back to the text board in just a bit at 609-403-0973. I see still text coming in. Stephen Vender has more to say. We also got Goody from Galloway and Matt from Cape May Court. I'll get to all your texts a little bit later this hour, but it's time for the Ivy Rehab Injury Report. Ivy Rehab Physical Therapy Centers with over 18 locations in South Jersey offering best-in-class outpatient physical therapy. Dr. Josh Lamb is back with us for another edition of the Ivy Rehab Injury Report here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. Dr. Josh, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Josh. Thanks for having me back. It's nice to be here to talk about some sports injuries and kind of what's going on in the world of the Sixers.
Well, the Sixers seem to never fail us because they seem to have a new injury, seems like every week. And this week now it's 2 new injuries. So I want to start with the Tyrese Maxey thing. I think that's the one people are the most confused about, right? So for those who don't know, Tyrese Maxey has been diagnosed with a tendon injury in the pinky finger of his right hand. Now, he is scheduled to be reevaluated in 3 weeks, but we know it doesn't mean he's coming back in 3 weeks. It just means being reevaluated. So when someone walks into Ivy Rehab and says, I injured the ligament in my pinky finger, what is going through your mind, Dr. Josh?
So I'm going to be thinking about exactly what that could mean as far as the hand is a pretty complex mechanism. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of joints. There's a lot of tendons. There's a lot of ligaments. So now when they did his evaluation, they initially did an x-ray to rule out any sign of joint injury, fracture, anything like that in the bones. And that was ruled out as a differential diagnosis. So they then performed an MRI to try to really look a little bit deeper into what the source of the injury was. And that's where they diagnosed it as the tendon injury. Now, a tendon is a connective tissue. It's a band of connective tissue that connects between a muscle and a bone. It's what allows the muscle to pull on the bone, creating movement at the joint. So when a tendon is injured, it's that connection point between the muscle and the bone. It can typically be broken down into 3 grades of a tendon injury, which was what we call a strain injury. Muscle or tendon injuries are what we call strain injuries, as opposed to a sprain, which is a ligament injury, which we can talk about a little bit later. But the 3 grades of strain injuries, grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3. Grade 1 is going to be what we would look at for microscopic tearing, very small tears, but still can be very, very painful. Typically, we're going to be able to have a very strong but painful contraction with a grade 1 sprain or strain. So that's one of the mechanical things that we look for with our tests and measures. Grade 2 would be a larger grade tear, something that would be visible on imaging, such as an MRI. Typically is associated with very weak contraction and extreme pain with contraction, often associated with significant bruising as well. Whereas a grade 3 would be a complete tear. That tendon or that muscle is completely torn. That's going to need surgery. When we're doing our mechanical tests for that one, we're typically going to expect to see extreme weakness and almost pain-free contraction, because it's torn completely. It's not pulling on anything. There's no tear for it to pull on anymore. It's been completely ruptured. So that's a very interesting finding. Now, with Tyrese Maxey, they're looking more at a grade 1 strain, it's looking like, of one of the tendons of the pinky finger. Sounds kind of interesting when you think, oh, it's just the pinky. What could that be a big deal? But that's going to play a huge role in his ability to control the ball, to grip. It's going to be painful if it's jarred or jammed or pulled on again. So they're going to be looking at making sure that that tendon is protected and well along and healing before he goes back to sport, as that will significantly impact and hinder his ability to perform and increase the risk of it progressing to a higher grade strain injury, which could be much more long-term in recovery. They did look at a potential 3-week reevaluation for this strain, which would be typical of a grade 1. Oftentimes, we're looking at about a month for recovery, and that would put us into what we, it would be progressing through the 3 stages of healing: inflammation, proliferation, and maturation phases of healing. That would have gotten him through the 2nd stage into the maturing phase, where it's laid down enough strength, enough connective tissue, enough scar tissue to hold itself in place and to be able to start reapplying to play. But we would definitely be looking at protecting that tendon as he goes back into play, potentially with taping, potentially with bracing, because the last thing that they would want is for that tendon to be forcefully pulled or forcefully contracted again to the point of returning to injury or even worse, injury.
Now, that was the other part of what I want to ask you about. Again, Dr. Josh Land from Ivy Rehab Physical Therapy Center with over 18 locations here in South Jersey. This is an injury he has had previously. So what is the kind of the thought process for you to have someone who walks in, let's say, to Ivy Rehab and say, hey, I have an injury and I had this injury before as well? What is maybe the impact of that part too?
It's a very interesting question, because when it comes to connective tissue injuries in general, whether it's a ligament or a tendon, there can be an increased risk of it re-injuring with each subsequent injury that occurs. And the reason for that is because it can elongate or overstretch the connective tissue, weakening it over time, increasing the risk of it injuring. And in the hand in particular, with all the different moving parts, that some of the tendons of the fingers actually kind of cross over each other. One dives through one of the other ones. And if those tendons enlarge or thicken or swell excessively, they can start getting caught up on each other, something we call trigger finger. And that's something that we would definitely want to avoid in a basketball player. That could significantly impair performance. So that may be an indication for them delaying his recovery longer than maybe that otherwise would be thought, because the more often this happens, the more likely it is to happen again, and the worse it can become. So protection, bracing, taping, if they are going to get him back into play as soon as possible, which with the season, well maturing into its later stages, they may want to get him back, but they're going to want to be very careful that they try to avoid this from happening again.
Let's get to the other Sixer as well. I think the Kelly Oubre injury is also very interesting. Dr. Josh Lamb joining us from Ivy Rehab Physical Therapy. So he suffered what they're calling a sprain of the lateral collateral ligament, the LCL, in his left elbow. Now, again, like Maxey, this is his shooting hand. So Maxey injured the right hand. That's his shooting hand. Oubre injured his left arm. That's his shooting arm. He's going to be
Correct, yep.
reevaluated in 2 weeks. So for you, when you have a guy, not just the sprain of the LCL, but also talk about the relevance of that being someone's dominant hand.
Exactly. So the what we talked about before being a strain injury that's involving a muscle or a tendon, a sprain injury is a connective tissue injury of a ligament within the around a joint. A ligament is a band of connective tissue as well, similar to a tendon. However, it connects bone to bone, and that's going to help hold the joint in place. It's going to help hold the joint stable, and it's going to prevent motions that the joint isn't really intended to move in. For example, the LCL, the elbow, prevents what we call varus stress movements. It helps to prevent, when your elbow is straight, the forearm from bending inwards. The elbow is supposed to bend, forward and back, flexion, extension, we call it. It's not supposed to bend side to side. So the LCL helps stop it from bending side to side inwards. The other interesting thing about ligaments and joints in general is they help with a lot of what we call proprioception. Proprioception is our coordination of where our joints are, helps us to know how we're moving through space. And at the athletic level, this all has to happen at an instinct, moment to moment. Everything happens so quickly. So an injury to a ligament of the elbow in his shooting arm can affect his coordination and control of where his arm is in space, how he's moving that ball, and the coordination for shooting, reaching, passing can be thrown off. So that's something they're going to want to be practicing a lot as he is working towards recovery. And that's something they should be able to do fairly early on. Normal motions, especially what we call open chain motions, that's where the hand is moving freely through space as opposed to closed chain where the hand is connected like to the ground and is like a push-up motion. When he's moving the ball, that's more of an open chain. His hand can move freely through space. There's not a lot of stress on the LCL in normal movements like that. So he should be able to practice shooting. He should be able to practice passing, dribbling, careful movements, some strength training he can start doing pretty early on without overstressing that LCL. And that will help to maintain that coordination and control while the body's working on healing that ligament.
So you just talked about strength training. So talk about if someone came into Ivy Rehab and they had an LCL sprain. Like, what is some of the things that people, you and the team at Ivy Rehab are going to say to someone to say, here, this is what we got to do to get you back to where you were before the injury?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the motion that the LCL resists, called varus motion, there is no muscle that directly crosses the joint at that angle because the joint simply doesn't move at that angle. It moves forward, back, the forearm rotates. Obviously, we have the wrist going up and down and in and out in all directions, but the elbow does not bend inwards. So what we need to do is strengthen all of the muscles around it. We need to strengthen the muscles that bend the elbow, the biceps, the muscles that extend the elbow, the triceps, the forearm muscles, the hand and wrist muscles attach up near the elbow, and some of them even cross the elbow, helping to build stability. So grip strength training, hand opening strength training, the muscles of the back of the forearm, opening your hand against resistance, turning your palm up and down, what we call supination, pronation, the rotation motion of the forearm. All of these motions will help to build stability and control of the elbow so that the muscles can help make up some of that difference. As I said before, when we were talking about the tendon, the ligament is now going to be a little bit stretched out after a sprain injury, leading to a little bit more laxity, a little bit more movement than there otherwise was. And it's going to now be up to the muscles to compensate and stabilize that movement through strength training in all of those various directions, not just at the elbow, but also at the forearm and at the wrist, because they all play a role.
Before we let you go, if you were to take, anytime you have somebody who has an injury, and this kind of goes for Maxey and Oubre, right? It's the idea of dominant hand versus non-dominant hand. How does that factor into someone's recovery? Do you look at it as, hey, we got to be more careful with the dominant hand or less careful with the non-dominant hand? Like, is there a different approach at all?
There is a bit of a trade-off with the dominant hand because we tend to use it more in day-to-day life with other things. So if we're needing to highly rest a tissue, we might need to be extra careful with just normal day-to-day tasks, even things as simple as, wiping a counter or carrying groceries. Fortunately, the LCL doesn't take on a lot of stress with basic movements, but a lot of rotational or bending kind of movements, like even like I said, like wiping a counter, there's going to be some side-to-side stress that goes through the elbow. So depending on the extent of the injury, you might need to be a little bit careful with that. So patient education, athlete education, letting them know, hey, let's maybe take it a little bit easy on this. You try to use your other arm for some of your daily tasks to allow a reduction of stress on that structure, that ligament, so that it can continue to work towards healing. And if anything hurts, take a break and let it work towards recovery.
He's Dr. Josh Lamb, of course. It is Ivy Rehab Physical Therapy Centers with over 18 locations in South Jersey, and they are also my physical rehab center. Meet Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN. Dr. Lamb, appreciate you jumping on. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for the insights. I'm sure I'll see you next week at the down in Gateway Courthouse.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Josh. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care.
Josh Hennig hanging with Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle, streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. Hey, don't forget that Hanging with Hennig is being brought to you by my guy over at Work of Art Construction. They can make your home look brand new. Listen, we were all cooped up in the house this whole winter, and you know what? Maybe you're looking around at the kitchen and the bathroom, the back deck, being like, I am so sick and tired of looking at the same stuff. I want to beautify my home. I want something to look brand new. Call Art Masker at 609-788-4271. Learn more about Work of Art Construction can make your home look brand new. 609-788-4271. And you can save 10% off your next home makeover project when you mention Josh Hennig at 97.3 ESPN to Art Masker and Work of Art Construction. 609-788-4271. And let them make your home look like truly a work of art. Back to text board on the other side. 609-403-0973 is text board. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on 97.3 ESPN.
Lanier in transition, hits the three, and a sign of life from Knoxville. Plant driving right. Lob for Brazil and a two-hand slam.
6 on the clock. Now with 5, he drives on Maddox. Right elbow is raised, spins to the foul line. Jumper up and it rattles in at the buzzer.
Don't miss any of this year's action on the road to the Final Four with Westwood One's exclusive coverage of the men's NCAA tournaments.
Catch all the college basketball tournament coverage on 97.3 ESPN. Brought to you by the New Jersey Lottery's Millionaire for Life.
Tired of cooking and planning all of your meals each and every day? You need Prevail Nutrition to simplify your life. For almost a decade, Prevail Nutrition is a local meal prep company located in South Jersey that allows customers to design their own meal plan. Or you can choose from a wide variety of chef-designed meals on their weekly changing Prevail Selects menu. You can order online for pickup or get free delivery on orders of over $50. Prevail Nutrition delivers to Atlantic and Cumberland counties along with Ocean City. Or you can pick up your meals every Monday and Friday. Learn more about how Prevail Nutrition can simplify your life. Visit their website at prevailnutrition.club. Check out Prevail Nutrition on Facebook and Instagram. Prevail Nutrition is my go-to choice for prepared meals and foods. Order online, like me, at prevailnutrition.club.
For 23 years, we've helped athletes at all levels at Clemic Performance Method. From youth to pros, increase maximum velocity, acceleration, vertical leaps, and general physical preparedness. We offer youth, high school, and pro college classes. Our proven results have earned national recognition from NFL coaches, sponsors, and a feature on ESPN Radio's Sports Science segment. You can contact me directly at 609-742-6190, or as always, visit us on our website, ClemicPerformanceMethod.com.
Need a new car and have no idea. It's gotta be a Matte Black Kia.
Spring out of your old car and spring into a new Matte Black Kia for less. 26 Matte Black Kia Sportage LX, just $129 per month. 26 Matte Black Kia K5 GT line, just $139 per month. All new 2027 Matte Black Kia Telluride, $339 per month. Drive now and pay later with 0 payments for 90 days. Plus, we'll pay you up to $3,000 over Kelley Blue Book fair market value for any trade in any condition. Have a job clearing $450 per week? Matte Black Kia wants to get you approved today. We sell more, so you save more.
Matte Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike,
Egg Harbor Township, or MattBlackKia.com.
Need a new car and have no idea. It's gotta be a Matte Black Kia.
24-month leases, $59.99 due at signing. Call 888-506-4132 for details. Interest accrues from date of purchase on select models. Offers don't combine. Expires month end.
Here's a tale of Linda trying to lose weight, but the med prices she found were all over the place.
Hidden fees and markups made her jaw drop low. Then she found Good RX. Now she's in the know.
GLP-1 subscriptions FDA approved.
With clear upfront pricing.
And same-day pickup.
That's Good RX, the no-nonsense way. Save time and money on prescriptions.
Get to goodrx.com/weight loss. GoodRx is not insurance.
Hop in a John Deere Gator XUV for a day's work. Let's see what's on the to-do list. There goes the tree. And the fence. Not a problem. Because you've got a cargo box filled with solutions. Up to 4,000 pounds of towing capacity. And you're ready to roll.
The power's out!
Here we go again. The Gator XUV, built for every kind of workday. Learn more at johndeere.com/Gator XUV. Nothing runs like a deer.
At Sturdy Savings Bank, we're making it easier for first-time home buyers with up to $30,000 in grant assistance. Through the 2026 Homebuyer Dream Grant Program, Sturdy Savings Bank will provide professional guidance, mortgage options, and all the tools for your Homebuyer Dream Program grants of up to $30,000. Visit SturdyOnline.com. That's SturdyOnline.com. Subject to program eligibility and credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, and MLS number 410428.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
Trust is earned. That's why I've stuck with Straight Talk. Same price since 2009 on Verizon's 5G network. Cause shoot, anyone can make a promise. Keeping it for years, that means something.
Now plans starting at $25 a month with 4 lines. Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Same price claim applies only to the base monthly price of our $45 plan from October 2009 to present.
Go to get your game on at the Fanatic Sportsbook in the Gallery at Ocean Casino Resort. Go where fans become fanatics at the Fanatic Sportsbook in the Gallery. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com.
Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Progressive Insurance knows pets, and one of the biggest differences between people and pets is that we don't eat things off the floor. But dogs definitely will, and it makes them so happy, no matter what it looks like, smells like, or what state of decomposition it's in. We all want to go through life that carefree, and that's also why you should get Progressive Pet Insurance, because they eat things off the floor. So protect your pet from all the questionable life decisions they make. You know where they drink from when you're gone, right? Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Covered subject to policy terms and conditions.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. If you're in need of a new car, then go see my friend Rocco over at Key Acura of Atlantic City. Right now, he can get you into a new 2026 Acura Integra 36-month lease for just $219 a month. $219 a month doesn't sound bad for a car payment, right? And it's an Acura. Check out this deal before the offer expires on March 31st. Get to Key Acura on Tilton Road in Egg Harbor Township. Online at KeyAcuraofAtlanticCity.com. Key Acura of Atlantic City, the small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details.
You're hanging with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
I want my picks back, and I want David Putney.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
All my picks back, and I want David Putney just because I feel like it. You're out of your mind. Yeah, I am. Haven't I proved that already?
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Hennig back here and Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN, being brought to you by the Caesars Sportsbook, the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. The action's heating up on the court, and there's no better time to start betting like a Caesar. Every bet during the tournament earns you perks, like hotel stays, bonus bets, game tickets, and more. What are you waiting for? Download the app using my promo code RADIO, DYW, and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets. Open to new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. Max bet at $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings, $2,500 per bet. Profit boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. By the way, Sixers are currently leading 37-20 over the Brooklyn Nets. Because even though the Sixers are without 4 starters, they're playing a Nets team that basically is the equivalent of a G League team. So, yeah, this is probably the worst basketball. For all the people who showed up to this game, I hope these people either love basketball because they're not watching a great game. So you either got to love basketball if you're watching this game, or you would give them tickets for free and you had nothing else better to do today. Because I would not want to go to this game at all. This is not. Yeah, I mean that was just a. Did they just hurt Bona? Oh, poor guy. Now Bona's down. Great. Down Bona's on the. He's getting up. Well, maybe not. All right. Well, I'll give you an update if more Sixers get injured here on Hennig with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. Back to the text board. We've been talking Eagles, NFL. Plus, if you were given season tickets for the next 5 years, but not to the Eagles, you got to pick one of the other three teams: Phillies, Sixers, Flyers. We've been running your question on the text board at 609-403-0973. The poll question is also up at 973 ESPN. Let's do a first look at the poll question results online. And I got to say, I'm a little surprised at how overwhelming the results are right now. Because for it to be 73% Phillies, I think some of you either just really love baseball or some of you just don't like the other two teams. And I think that's part of what the conversation is. Part of the reason why the Sixers are at 5% on this poll and the Flyers are at 22% is because I think we forget sometimes how the Sixers are perceived among people in the fan base who are not diehard basketball fans. Like if you're not a diehard Sixer fan, basketball fan, if you didn't grow up in an environment where basketball was a big deal, you probably have a very, very sour taste in your mouth about the 76ers right now. And I think I mentioned this earlier in the last hour that I pointed this out. I think part of the reason why the Sixers are so far down this list, and this is not a competitive poll, is because the perception of the 76ers, and we know perception becomes reality in many situations, the perception of the 76ers is that they are a team that is without a real direction. They are perceived to be rudderless. They are perceived to be a team that doesn't know what they're doing. And now with all of these injuries, Maxey's not playing the rest of this month. Kelly Oubre might come back by the end of this month. We think Paul George will return from his suspension at the end of the month. Joel Embiid, who knows when he's actually coming back. This team feels like they are living on a hope and a prayer, and those hopes are being dashed, and those prayers are being ignored. And so if you're a Sixers, maybe you're not like hyper aggressively invested in the Sixers like some other people are. Yeah, you don't care about getting tickets to the game or going to those games or watching hyper intently because you feel like this team is going nowhere. And the whole point of what the Sixers did with the process a decade plus ago was to get out of mediocrity, to remove themselves from the middle of the road, to not be just another team in the league. And guess what? That's what you become again. You become the team that nobody cares about. And frankly, I would think the Flyers would be getting a little more votes just because of the fact that I think the Flyers have the brighter future of the three teams. But again, I think that at the heart of people's hearts, for many, many years, for those who are not old enough, Philadelphia was a baseball town. People loved the Phillies in the 70s and the early 80s. The 93 team is still one of the most popular teams in Philadelphia sports history. So for me, I look at it as people want the Phillies to be good. They're craving for them to be good. And that's part of the reason why the Phillies are so dominating the voting right now. Again, you keep voting at 973 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging with Hennig here on 973 ESPN. Back to the text board at 609-403-0973. Matt in Cape May Courthouse says, Josh, I agree. Juwan Jennings would be a nice pickup, and they should sign him whether they trade AJ or not. But I'm still baffled as to why we as fans want to get, or the organization, I should say, wants to get rid of AJ. I worry that we might draft another Aguilar or Rager. I don't want to go through that misery again. Matt and Cape May Courthouse, I am so happy you brought this up, because this is a part of a conversation I love having about sports, is that there is the part of us as fans who have this, like, horrible memories of how bad things were that we forget to appreciate what we have now. And you're right. I don't think the organization wants to get rid of AJ. I think it goes back to the reporting by Oubre Breer from Sports Illustrated and others that AJ Brown's camp was given permission to kind of see if the grass was greener on the other side of the fence. And now that we're already so far down the rabbit hole when it comes to trade talks, and so many teams keep calling again and again and again about A.J. Brown, and the fact that the Eagles have other needs, I think that's really what the issue is, Matt and Cape May Courthouse. You still need a pass rusher. Right. You still need a safety. You need depth on the offensive line. I think there is a lot that goes into this. So for me, I think it's very, very interesting when talking about the Eagles, understanding that I don't think the Eagles went in this offseason saying, let's get rid of A.J. Brown. I think it was explained by Mike Garafolo, and I'll play the audio again, where Garafolo explains the Eagles basically financially cannot keep both Goddard and A.J. Brown, or they will end up like the 76ers. This is my paraphrasing. End up like the 76ers and basically in cap hell. Here was with Mike Garafolo last night on NFL Network explained it.
The Dallas Goedert part of this whole thing is a big piece of it because Dallas Goedert had a void, and if it triggered, it was going to be a $20 million cap hit to the Eagles. That got pushed once. As my man Zach Berman in Philly reported, it got pushed again, now till Monday. That's a part of it because Goddard and Brown are sort of interconnected. The Eagles can't pay Goddard if they're keeping Brown, and they can't take both cap hits.
Now, to Matt and Cape May Courthouse's other concern is, in the past we have drafted not good receivers, Nelson Aguilar, Jalen Reagor. I don't think those picks were symbolic of a bad trend, or the Eagles can't draft receivers. I think that those picks are examples of what happens when the wrong people are making decisions. Remember, Aguilar was drafted when Howie Roseman was banished to the broom closet. That was a guy in Aguilar that Chip Kelly really wanted, because Chip tried to recruit him in Oregon. He went to USC. The Jalen Reagor pick was because the Eagles front office, this has been reported by multiple people, the Eagles front office and scouts wanted Justin Jefferson. But Doug Peterson and his coaching staff wanted Jalen Reagor. So Chip Kelly's not here anymore. Doug Peterson's not here anymore. So I'm not as worried about getting the receiver wrong, because the people who got those receivers wrong are not running the organization anymore. But Matt and Cape May Courthouse, I think that your concern is more than valid. All right, coming up, more text on the other side. Josh Hennig hanging out with you. Hour 3 next on 97.3 ESPN.
Phillies opening day is almost here. Join us Thursday, March 26th at the Anchorage in Summers Point for an opening day watch party. And you have a chance to win a trip to see the Phillies take on the Orioles at Camden Yards this summer. Listen for our famous contest sounder to enter. You must be present to win. Opening day at the Anchorage. Catch the game. Win the trip. Let's go, Phil.
Listen up. The soap you shower with, it's you probably haven't even questioned what bar of soap you lather up with. Let's face it, most guys don't. But now you can upgrade your shower game with Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. I'm talking about natural, nourishing, cold-pressed, hand-cut soap for men. Men who use their hands. Men who build things. Men who catch foul balls without spilling their beer. You won't just smell good either. Your skin will be healthier and more nourished. We make our soaps with natural ingredients from the earth. Ingredients like oils, plants, goat's milk, Greek yogurt, oatmeal, shea butter, and citrus. Turn your shower game up to 11. Get ready to step out of the shower feeling alive.
Hey, this is Josh Hennig. Go to my social media and click my exclusive Dr. Squatch link for your chance to save $10 off your next order of great natural soap, deodorant, and much more. Only with Dr. Squatch.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-923-6829 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-923-6829. That's 800-923-6829. What do you have to lose? Call 800-923-6829. Again, 800-923-6829.
You've got a big day, so you use Unstoppable Scent Boosters to give your laundry non-stop freshness. So no matter how long the day goes, you
can't stop this power, this walk, this pose, this strut, this look, this talk.
Your clothes will be so fresh you can confidently strut into that end of the day meeting like a
boss, 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 bosses. Let's talk business in my office.
Add new Unstoppable beads to your wash for 24-hour non-stop freshness so you can smell unstoppable.
Automotive Avenues, your family-owned, pre-owned dealership is growing and now has a second location in Sewell. Automotive Avenues brings the power of wholesale to the public. They make financing easy. Good credit, bad credit, no credit. You're still approved. Find out why Automotive Avenues has won customer satisfaction awards for the last 8 years. Discover why everybody loves Automotive Avenues of Sewell on Delsey Drive. Or check out their expanded inventory now at automotiveavenusnj.com.
Hi, I'm Maria, salon owner. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. There's only one FDA-approved Ozempic, made by Novo Nordisk. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5, 1, and 2 milligrams.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him, it's a sack!
Sixers.
Oh, baby!
And Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Finally! This is Hanging with Hennig.
I have friends everywhere.
On 97.3 ESPN Radio, South Jersey.
In New Jersey. Am I right? Yeah.
Live feed on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It seems to run on some form of electricity. Well, you're not wrong.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together.
Now, here's your host.
He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Josh Hennig.
Hour 3 of Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. We are in the 97.3 ESPN studios this week, but we will be hanging with Hennig at Hang Time Bar and Grill next Saturday for the first weekend of the biggest college basketball tournament of the year. So get your brackets. Come hang out with us next Saturday at Hang Time Bar and Grill. Watch the games on their 30 TVs out there. We'll be hanging with Hennig next Saturday, 12 to 3 p.m. and also after 3 p.m. You know, I'll hang around and keep watching the games at Hang Time Bar and Grill next week. But Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN will be there at this time next Saturday. But today we are in the 97.3 ESPN studios. And coming up in about 25 minutes from now, we will be joined by Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press. He will join us coming up to talk more about the NFL and the Eagles this past week. Plus, we have a couple different things going on the text board. We've been asking you throughout the day your thoughts on the Eagles and the NFL. I've got a lot of texts to get to about the A.J. Brown, the Eagles stuff at 609-403-0973. Plus, our poll question of the day. If someone was to give you season tickets for the next 5 years, no cost to you, you get the best seats money can buy, but you have to pay a dime for it. Are you asking for Phillies, Sixers, or Flyers? We've been getting those votes throughout the show as well. So we are going to go through a bunch of texts here this hour, 609-403-0973. You're also streaming live on YouTube and X at Josh Hennig at 973 ESPN. And I think one of the interesting things about, and I got a ton of A.J. Brown and Eagles texts to get to. I'm going to go in the order of the ones I haven't read yet. So please, kind of hang with me as I go through the text here as I'm, in the studio riding solo today. I do want to say, by the way, the Sixers are still leading. They're leading 49-28 over the G League team. I mean, the Brooklyn Nets. Sixers with their own G League team. Basically, there's nobody starting. No starters on the floor except for BJ Edgecombe right now for this team. I do think it's interesting how negative people are about the Sixers, but how interested people are in about their injuries. Like, I've gotten a couple people already commenting about they've loved the Ivy Rehab Injury Report last 2 weeks. I'm so glad everybody's enjoying it because it's like we don't really care if the Sixers win anymore because they're basically in purgatory, but we're just curious about how this team keeps getting injured. It's almost like when you're driving down the road and you see a car accident and everyone slows down and rubbernecks and it's like, what happened over there? Whoa, what's that? Like, that's kind of how I feel with the Sixers. The Sixers are turning into a train wreck on the other side of the road, but they're not a destination anymore. Like, you want to go to a Phillies game. You're intrigued by the Flyers. You obviously, if you're an Eagles fan, want to go to an Eagles game. But the Sixers are just kind of like, they're that train wreck. You're not really going because you love the Sixers. You're almost going to see how much weirder it gets. It's like the circus. Can you really dive over that? Can you really jump over the flames? Will they survive? Come out to find out. All right, back to the text board. Goody in Galloway chimes in at 609-403-0970. His vote goes to the Phillies. He says, I would take the Phillies over the Flyers and Sixers because they have a vision. They're trying to win now with Schwarber, Harper, Turner, Christopher Sanchez, and Zach Wheeler. They're also trying to win tomorrow with some of the younger guys like Luzardo, Painter, Miller, and Crawford. This is how this team is going to continue success. Well, Gideon Galloway, I think it's a very good point. By the way, Christopher Sanchez was incredible last night in his outing for the WBC. And I think that between him and Nola, the way both of them have performed in the WBC, I think it's a huge positive for the Phillies going into the season. The Phillies are going to have very good pitching this year. It's going to be better than it was last year. And I'm not going to act like the home run Painter gave up yesterday is a negative. I tend to think that spring training needs to be with a grain of salt. Now, I understand Garcia has not played well for most of spring training. I had somebody text me yesterday. They said, we got to give a pound of salt for Adolis Garcia at this point. But I think overall, Goody and Galloway's right. The Phillies have a vision. They're trying to have a balance between the young and the old, okay? And that's why, well, two things. The Luzardo thing, I think in part is because he showed the Phillies how committed he is to evolving and growing as a player. I think if Luzardo came in here and was the same exact picture he was in Miami, he would not have gotten that extension. But I think it's the work he put into it, how much he cares about becoming better and better and better, I think is a huge part of him being here for the long term. And I'm still not convinced Andrew Painter is going to be elite this year. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be elite next year. I think Painter is still a year away from being the pitcher that we think he is. He's only a couple years removed from Tommy John surgery. I think the more time he takes to build up and grow and evolve as a pitcher, he's only going to get better. I just don't think it's going to be this year. I think he's going to typically be a guy who pitches 5 innings a game this year. He's probably going to finish the year with like a 3.25, a 3.45 ERA. He's going to give up about 2-3 runs a game. And he's going to have some outings where he's going to look amazing, and other outings he's going to look rough around the edges. That's part of the growing process, right? And I think that as long as people are patient with Painter, he's going to be good long term. More text coming in at 694030973. Stephen Venner has 2 points. He says, I'm not sure why Howie Roseman isn't aggressively trying to trade for a tight end. Or maybe he is, and we just don't know it. Well, I think part of the problem, Stephen Ventnor, with the Howie Roseman thing is we look at sometimes when it comes to sports, like, why don't you just go out and get this guy? And, like, you can name whoever, okay? Let me use this as an example. So Michael Mayer is the number 2 tight end with the Raiders, right? And, there's speculation out there that Michael Mayer is a guy that could be had in theory, right? Oh, why does the team just go out and trade for him? And I always say, how do we know the Raiders want to trade him? We are so quick to question, why does Howie do this? Why does Howie do that? Maybe the Bears don't want to trade a tight end, or the Raiders, or the Vikings, or whoever. We assume a guy is available. And you're right. Howie may be trying to trade for players, tight ends, pass rushers, safeties, but the other team has no interest. I'm not going to be anti-Howie Roseman or criticize him for that. Trades are hard, man. That is a two-way street. That is a tango that every sports executive I've ever listened to talk about this, whether it's, like a Mike Tannenbaum, with ESPN, or Steve Phillips with MLB Network, or, oh my goodness, who was the one guy I was listening to the other day? Bob Myers. We've heard him talk about on ESPN before he got his gig with Harris Sports. Excuse me. All of these guys have talked about how difficult it is to make trades. That, there's so many times that teams will go into a conversation and they'll overvalue their guy, or they'll undervalue your guy. Or you have one person who says, I value draft picks more than another team. One team might say, I'm willing to give you a player, not draft picks. Another team might say, I'm willing to give you draft picks, but not a player. And so there's so many variables to go into it. I don't think it's fair to say how we should trade for this guy or that guy, especially if those guys are not being mentioned in trade rumors. It's not fair to say the Eagles should trade for this guy, but then the other team doesn't want to trade him. So is Howie an idiot? No, he's not an idiot. Is Howie trying? Of course he's trying. But just because a certain guy could be had in our minds doesn't mean he's actually available. Steve Venner goes on to say, do you think Sanchez will be a Cy Young runner-up again? Probably not, but overall the pitching staff should be as good, but better than last year, especially if Nola can make around 30 starts and get the ERA under 4. I think that Nola is the key to all this. I think that Nola is closer to the Aaron Nola from a couple of years ago. If Nola goes out there, gives you 30 starts, has a 3.5 ERA, I'm just looking at a random number, a 3.5 ERA, and goes, let's say, 10-8 record, you are vastly improved over last year. Just above and beyond improved over last year. Joey D. Inventor chimes in. I think the Phillies tickets for season tickets, the pitchers carry this team, and having young guys come along with veterans have a better chance of winning a championship. Now, Joey D. Inventor, I'm very shocked you picked the Phillies of the 3 teams, because you are the most diehard beach guy I've ever known in my life. You live at the beach, bro. The Phillies play in the summer. Now, unless you're saying I'll go to the games during the week and I'll give away or sell tickets on the weekends, so I have my weekends going to the beach. I don't know what you gotta follow up with me, bro, on that. Like that, I gotta get more of an explanation. Like, There's 81. Are you saying maybe, hey, I'll go to the Phillies games in April, May, but then I got the rest of the summer to go to the beach? Like, it's a very interesting move by you. I'm very surprised you went that direction. Nick from Delaware chimes in at 609-403-0973. He says, I would go with season tickets for the Phillies. Can't beat the smell and the scene at a ballpark. Nick, it sounds like you got a lot of good memories of watching baseball games. And that's cool. I like that vibe. I like that vibe from you. I think that's pretty cool. You're kind of going with the nostalgia part of it, where you're saying, hey, it's not about the team as much as it is the experience. It's the vibe. It's the energy. You know, I remember when I was younger, we would go to Phillies games, and the Phillies were not good, right? And, you know, and the Phillies, they had those stretches of time, the years before 93, and then the years between, like, you know, 95 and 2005, where, like, they just weren't very good. You know, you were going out to games, and, you know, if Terry Mulholland or Kurt Schilling weren't pitching, you were probably going to lose some of those years, right? You know, what was it, in 92? It was like, you know, you look around and be like, who is even pitching for this team anymore? Nobody even knows half these guys. Or in the late 90s, it was like, you know, and here comes Matt Beach and Scott Ruffcorn, and who was another rando they had back in the day? I mean, you know, Robert Person started opening day one year. How crazy was that? So it sounds like Nick and Delaware, you're more of a, hey, I'm going to the ballpark to enjoy a game of baseball. That's pretty cool. I like that. More text coming in. 69403-0970. Time from Margate says, Josh, I won Philly tickets because the more options for more games. Also the great weather. It reminds me, though, this debate of George Carlin's routine about the difference between football and baseball. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. By the way, Joey D says, you know, Phillies make the summer as well. He says, I'd probably sell half the tickets, though, hypothetically, because I'm on the beach on the weekends and go during the week. You know me too well, Josh, Joey D and Mentner. Yeah, I figured as much. I didn't want to speak for you. More text coming in. Shaner and EHT chimes in at 609-403-0973. Shaner chimes in on both topics today. How about Shaner and EHT doing the double dip? Well, let's get Shaner's thoughts here. He says, I grew up on Mike Schmidt, Pete Rose, Steve Carlton, then Macho Rose, 93. The 2008 team should have won more, but they're all legends. I love all the sports, but I would say Eagles take the cake just because of how few games they play. Personally, the Phillies are number one for me, but I'm biased. Mike Schmidt is the best all-around ball player of my generation. Carlton, second best pitcher behind, I think you're saying Nolan Ryan? Is that who Nolan? He said Nolan. I think he meant Nolan Ryan. I'm a huge Nolan Ryan guy, so I totally rock with you on Nolan Ryan. Yeah, I think people like Shannon EHT and then Nick in Delaware, you guys kind of look at baseball as like a nostalgia thing. It's not a, it has to be this way. No, for you guys, it's a, there's nostalgia, there's vibes, it's all of that stuff. So that's a pretty cool, and if that's how you feel, then I'm with you. And like I said, I remember going to games when I was younger, and we knew the team wasn't good. It was just about going to a ball game. It was about getting out and doing something different. I think that's what it was more about than anything else. Shannon EHT goes on to explain on the text board at 609-403-0973. He says, Aguilar ended up not being a bust. Do you really think he was? He had one awful year and then got it together. He was a great piece of the offense in 2017. I got to disagree with you, Josh, on him. Again, I don't know if saying it, maybe calling him a bust was not fair. I think we all agree Rager was definitely a bust. Shannon and EHT. I think the thing with Aguilar was Aguilar had one good year. But after that, he really wasn't much of anything for Philadelphia. You know, remember, I always go back to all the drops that he had. Aguilar had two problems. One, he was overdrafted. He should have never been a first-round pick. Chip Kelly was infamous for this during his tenure in Philadelphia. They always kept overdrafting guys. They always kept drafting guys who shouldn't have been first-round picks. And so Aguilar had that first-round pick label on him when his talent was more of a second or third-round pick. And you're right, Aguilar had a couple of good years, okay? Obviously, 2017, he was a huge part of that offense because he was like the deep threat slot receiver adjacent to Torrey Smith. And he was such a different player than Smith and Aguilar that it worked out in that offense. And then, you know, the next year, he also had a very good year. Not very good, but he had a good year as well. He had a stretch of about 2 years in Philadelphia where he was good. But then there were the drops. And then there was his... he just never evolved past a certain point. And, you know, he had that one good year, what was it, the Raiders? Then he bounced around. You know, he played with the Patriots and the Ravens, and he was a solid player. But Shane O'Neill, if he was never a first-round draft pick, I would feel differently about him. I would look at him differently, and I would say, hey, Aguilar had a solid, good career. But when you're a first-round draft pick, that's what makes it complicated. All right, got more text coming in. 69403-0973. I see Wayne from Atlantic City. Your text and more still to come here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See how streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. Coming up, I will talk with Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press. We'll get his perspective on the first week of NFL free agency. Don't forget about Hanging with Hennig being brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook, the online sportsbook app offering you Caesars rewards. The action's heating up on the court, and there's no better time to bet like a Caesar. Bet all through the college basketball tournaments this week and the weeks to come, and earn perks on hotel stays, bonus bets, game tickets, and more. Download the app, use my promo code RADIO, DYW, and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. More NFL talk with Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press joining us next. Hang with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN.
Lanier in transition, hits the three. Now with 5, he drives on Maddox. Right elbow and 3, spins to the foul line. Jumper up and it rattles in at the buzzer.
Don't miss any of this year's action on the road to the Final Four with Westwood One's exclusive coverage of the men's NCAA tournament.
Listen to the NCAA tournament, the first 4 on 97.3 ESPN. Tuesday night. Coverage begins at 6:30.
Catch all the college basketball tournament coverage on 97.3 ESPN. Brought to you by the New Jersey Lottery's Millionaire for Life.
Tired of cooking and planning all of your meals each and every day? You need Prevail Nutrition to simplify your life. For almost a decade, Prevail Nutrition is a local meal prep company located in South Jersey that allows customers to design their own meal plan. Or you can choose from a wide variety of chef-designed meals on their weekly changing Prevail Selects menu. You can order online for pickup or get free delivery on orders of over $50. Prevail Nutrition delivers to Atlantic and Cumberland counties along with Ocean City. Or you can pick up your meals every Monday and Friday. Learn more about how Prevail Nutrition can simplify your life. Visit their website at prevailnutrition.club. Check out Prevail Nutrition on Facebook and Instagram. Prevail Nutrition is my go-to choice for prepared meals and foods. Order online, like me, at prevailnutrition.club.
Making your home look brand new is what Work of Art Construction can do for you. Ready to remodel your bathroom or have a kitchen makeover? Art Masker has 40 years of experience in construction and knows how to make your home look like a work of art. Want to install a new back deck or invest in a new front door? Just call Art Masker at 609-788-4271 to learn more. Visit Work of Art Construction on Instagram to see how Work of Art Construction can make your home look brand new. Beautify your home with Work of Art. Call him at 609-788-4271 and let them make your home truly a work of art.
Sebastian Maniscalco, live.
Now, some people do Venmo. Maybe you went out to dinner before the show. Somebody paid, and then the rest of the group said, no, we'll Venmo you later. No, you pay me now, right? You can leave here tonight and wrap your yourself around a tree. Where does that leave me?
Live on stage at Ovation Hall in Ocean Casino Resort for 8 shows from September 17th to September 27th. Get tickets now at theoceanac.com.
What if you could have the most reliable Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years?
That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee.
Just 5 years of fiber-powered Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to the devices that need them most.
That finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a 6th sense. And that keeps you gaming in the fast lane, even when the whole family's banking on bandwidth. And here's the best part. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included.
Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi.
Hey, let's face it, a lot can change in 5 years. Kids grow taller, dreams grow bigger, but your Wi-Fi? It would stay reliable and the price would stay put. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity, imagine that.
Select plans only. Restrictions apply. Powered by fiber. Connects to the premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary.
Need a new car and have no idea. It's gotta be a matte black Kia.
Spring out of your old car and spring into a new matte black Kia for less. 26 matte black Kia Sportage LX, just $129 per month. 26 matte black Kia K5 GT line, just $139 per month. All new 2027 matte black Kia Telluride, $339 per month. Drive now and pay later with 0 payments for 90 days. Plus, we'll pay you up to $3,000 over Kelley Blue Book fair market value for any trade in any condition. Have a job clearing $450 per week? Matte Black Kia wants to get you approved today. We sell more, so you save more.
Matte Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike,
Egg Harbor Township, or matteblackkia.com.
Need a new car and have no idea. It's gotta be a matte black Kia.
24-month leases, $59.99 to its signing. Call 888-506-4132 for details. Interest accrues from date of purchase on select models. Offers don't combine. Expires month end.
Journey down winding roads to the Piccadilly Inn, a special place in the Pines where time slows, friends meet, and the wings are legendary. Make your family tradition a part of theirs. The Piccadilly Inn, Route 206, Chemung, New Jersey. Visit piccadilly.com.
You're hanging with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
People will come, Ray.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
People will most definitely come.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Hennig back here and hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. As promised, we'll get back to text board in just a bit at 609-403-0973. Wayne in Atlantic City and others, we will check in with you before the end of the hour. But right now, as promised, joining us to get more into the NFL offseason. It's been a crazy week for this guy, Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press, carving out some time for us here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. Rob, did you have like a go-to, caffeinated item, or are you just just straight pounding water all day long?
Water, electrolytes, and decaf. I don't do caffeine. It's not healthy. So I don't like the rush of whatever you get from that. So I do enjoy my decaf lattes and macchiatos though. But yeah, it was a great week, man. It was a busy week and still some decent players left out there in free agency. And I still think that there's going to be some moves to be made and, about all the June 1st designation and all that stuff. So it was a good start to free agency. It was a hectic week and I made it through. I only think I one time texted the wrong person thinking it was my family or what, because the texts are going through and you're responding, but it was nothing inappropriate. Love you, sweetheart, to an agent or anything like that. So I'm glad that didn't happen. But texts are flying through. It's tough. You got to keep track.
Absolutely. By the way, you do realize the sugar in some of those macchiatos and stuff is not good for you either, right?
Oh yeah, I don't do sugar. No. It's
okay.
Iced decaf macchiato, skim milk, and that's it. Yeah, no sugar, no flavor. Nope.
Gotcha.
I may do half a pump of pumpkin, but they don't have that. It should be an all year flavor, but it's not.
It's funny you say that because I actually got into this thing where I brew my own coffee at home. I take with me in the morning, and I actually put in a pumpkin spice blend into my coffee now before I leave the house in the morning. I just stir it up and walk out with it. So.
Yeah, there's some there's some I forget what the brand is, but it's from Trader Joe's, and it's like a healthier version. So sometimes when I make it at home, I just put a little bit in there. Everything's always better at home, Josh, when you do it yourself. It's a smart way to go, man. I think for the listeners out there, think about that. Whatever you do, better off to do it at home. Eating healthier, cleaner, all that. Oh, and by the way, you save money.
You save money too. I do the caffeine thing with the coffee though, because I kind of go by the Teddy Roosevelt rule. I just drink coffee throughout the day. So.
Yeah, or the Jose Alvarado, right? Isn't that, doesn't he do?
Listen, Jose got popped for PEDs. I don't know if I want to follow Jose Alvarado.
Jose's got a lot going on right now.
Yeah,
I'm more excited about U.S. Dominican Republic than anything NFL right now. I can't wait for that game tonight.
Tomorrow night. Tomorrow night it is.
Oh, that's right. It's tomorrow night. I
8
can't wait
p.m.
to see. Can't wait to see if Cal Riley gets more hits than he has teammate snubs.
Nice. I like that. Well, I do gotta ask you some NFL questions here because this whole Eagle situation to me is fascinating because I've been explaining to the audience throughout the show, Rob, that this whole situation with they keep kicking the can down the lane with Dallas Goedert, right? They moved the void from Wednesday to Friday to Monday. Mike Garafolo on NFL Network is saying that the Eagles don't want to take a hit on both A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert on the cap. The variables going into this is fascinating because on one hand, you have a guy in Goddard who's willing to not hit free agency, and then you have a guy in A.J. Brown who hasn't overtly come out and said, I don't want to be here, but everyone's calling the Eagles about him. So this whole, the dynamics of this, I feel like you could just do a 3-hour show just on the A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert part of this conversation.
It's very intriguing that Dallas Goedert is willing to delay his ability to be on the free agent market while they work something out here. And it's obviously a great gesture on his part. He doesn't have to do that. Certainly goes along with wanting to be an Eagle and play in Philly. And that leads me to believe they've got to work something out at this point, right, Josh? When he delays his free agency to be able to stay in Philly, work something out with him, I would think that they're going to be able to do that. I thought at the start of free agency, depending on his price, that he was more likely than not to be gone. And I thought they were going to do everything they can to keep Jalen Phillips. Well, he got a ton of money. He got a great offer from Carolina. They couldn't match that. And I can't blame them or fault them for not matching that one. And maybe now it goes the other way. I thought David Njoku, I think he's still out there. Last check, I didn't get any messages on David Njoku, would be a decent replacement. Somebody, and I know they brought back Calcaterra and signed Johnny Munt, and you can always maybe pretend. I don't see them drafting a first-round pick on a tight end. I just don't see that on Kenyon Sadiq, but a lot of mock drafts have them going in that direction. If they can bring back Dallas Goedert and make it affordable, that certainly would work. They've got to figure out the A.J. Brown situation. I understand Howie is going to ask for the moon, and he's going to want as much as he can possibly get for a guy who's a top-tier elite wide receiver. But there's a lot that comes along with A.J. at this point, and I'm just not sure that it's going to work out. It's worked out in the past, and I feel like the Eagles are at some point have to come to a decision, Josh. If we're not getting a first-round pick offer, and I know there's the whole June 1st thing, but if you're not getting a first-round pick in this year's draft or next year's draft, you've got to make a decision. What's acceptable? Is it a second and a conditional 3 that becomes a 2, or maybe a 2 that conditionally can become a 1 depending on catches, or potentially if he goes and helps a team win a Super Bowl, whatever it is, they've got to come to that decision. What's an acceptable offer for him versus keeping him, and the possibility that the locker room can be distracted again because of some of the I won't even say off field, but it's just some of the personality issues and the way AJ just hasn't been entirely happy in Philly. So I would never call trading AJ Brown addition by subtraction, because he's that good of a player. He's an elite player. They won a Super Bowl with him. They went to another Super Bowl with him. So this is a tough one to figure out, and it really depends on the compensation. I think if they were being offered a first-round pick, it would have been a no-brainer and a done deal, but they clearly weren't getting that so far.
You just mentioned the draft pick part of it, and that kind of distracted me from my previous question, but let me ask you that really quick. Do you think certain teams are trading and not making moves with the idea, because we've heard a lot of talk out there that the 2027 draft is going to be better than 2026. Do you think there are teams that are maybe reticent to trade picks because they want to make sure they have picks for next year?
I've heard a lot of that, and there's a lot of thought about that draft class, obviously, at this point, looking a whole lot better than 26, so it wouldn't be entirely an issue for the Eagles if they traded, and they're not going to get if you're going to trade A.J. Brown for next year, for draft picks next year, maybe the two, not that it would equate to a one, depending on where he goes and how that looks like, but it would be more valuable a two next year than a two this year, or a one next year than a one this year. So that's a possibility. And I think we've seen a lot of moves. Howie makes a lot of moves draft day, the week of the draft, the days into the draft. Like, he's always making these. They acquired A.J. Brown the night of the draft in 22, I believe it was. So there still can be movement. There still can be things that happen, but it's got to come down to, like, what's an acceptable offer, and how far are you willing to, like, with Jalen Phillips, there was a number that they knew they weren't going to be willing to surpass to bring him back. They wanted to bring him back. They traded a third-round pick for him, but they know they're going to get a compensation pick for him next year, depending on who they bring in and who they sign. They lose Nakobe Dean, Reed Blankenship, Jalen Phillips. We'll see who else they lose. They bring in Jonathan Jones, a veteran. They bring in Rick Woolen, who's a veteran, and I'm going to always struggle with this guy's name. The edge rusher from the Falcons, Arnold Ebikite. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. He's a veteran guy, right? 4 years in the league, and he's a nice piece at the edge, and a local kid from Temple and Penn State. So I thought that was a decent addition, somebody who could be a rotational player for the Eagles. So you balance out who you brought in and all that for the compensation picks next year, but they'll be in good shape.
Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press joining us here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN, at Rob Maaddi on the X platform, at the Real Rob Maaddi on Instagram. You just mentioned about the Jalen Phillips part of this, him leaving, getting the huge money. You're right. The Eagles are not going to go crazy in free agency. They never have been a team that goes what was the term John Melton used? Stupid money. Howie Roseman doesn't spend stupid money in free agency, but that's also a good thing because no offense to a team like Carolina, but Jalen Phillips does have an injury history. There's no guarantee that Phillips is going to stay healthy next year. Now you're on the hook for $30 million. So for Howie Roseman, to me, I thought that a Rick Woolen acquisition was a genius move because you have a guy who wants to come in, prove himself. And you know what? If you win a championship and hits free agency next year, nobody cares, right? Because, he came in, he did his job.
Yeah, I like that signing. And I think Jonathan Jones is going to quietly be like, he's a 32-year-old veteran who's won a couple Super Bowls, brings some experience. So you've kind of, you lose Reed Blankenship in that secondary room, and Marcus Epps is also a free agent, still hasn't re-signed. They've got Sidney Brown. They've got Mukaba coming back, and Jones could be a guy, I think, that potentially, Josh, he could probably maybe be tried out, at least take a look at safety. So Woolen's got good potential. Woolen gives you three solid cover corners now with him and Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. However you want to shake that out, with Cooper being inside slot or outside. And I think they're not done reshaping the secondary. They've got to bring in a few more pieces there, and they'll probably get somebody in a draft day 2, more likely day 3. I think they go trenches day 1, and we'll see what it looks like day 2. But they've got a lot of picks, and they'll load up there. So I'm with you on that signing. I really like Woolen. I like Jones. I like the edge rusher, and they're not done. It's still early. You've still got a lot of moves to make, and they're still in good shape. I haven't checked Vegas's odds, but I think they're top 5 Super Bowl right now, Josh, and that just goes to show you what they're thought of around the league. And it's, to me, the AJ Brown trade or potential trade may swing things a little bit, right? If you take AJ Brown out of the lineup, out of the equation, they may drop in whatever, though, if they're 4th or 5th or 6th in Super Bowl odds, but those odds are what they are. So it's still early, man, and they've early in the week. And I hated doing this, Josh, because you got to do winners and losers like after the first day or second, whatever it was. And I'm like, well, at this point, I'm searching around the league, like, who are losers? Okay, well, Tampa Bay lost Mike Evans. I'm like, oh, they're a quote-unquote loser right now. They may go sign a bunch of guys. Eagles, well, they had lost 3 defensive starters. What did Vic Fangio call them? We're like the farm system. He loves baseball analogies. We're the farm system for the other 31 teams around the league, I think is what Vic said, and yes. He's right. But at that point, you lose 3 defensive, and they hadn't added anyone. So on Thursday, I'm like, they're an early loser in free agency, and they've kind of turned that around, and they're not quite there yet, but you got to give Howie the benefit of the doubt. You always do.
Rob, let's look at the other teams around the league. Who's shall I call it Extreme Home Makeover? Remember that show back in the day? Whose Extreme Home Makeover with their roster has been more interesting for you this offseason? Has it been the Commanders or the Giants? Because I feel like both of them have made some very interesting moves so far this week.
Yeah, and I love the Commanders bringing in Ofe, the edge rusher from the Chargers. Well, he was on the Ravens, get any sacks, goes to the Commanders and gets a bunch of sacks, and goes to the Chargers, gets a bunch of sacks, makes a ton of money, gets a nice contract from a local agent, Andre Odom. Got that deal, guy from Temple. So I like what the Commanders have done. The Giants are just bringing in John Harbaugh guys, man. So you look at the Giants, you look at the Titans. The Titans are bringing in some of Robert Saleh's and Brian Dable's old players. Giants are bringing in some of Harbaugh's guys. Actually, you didn't mention the Raiders and all the activity all the money that they've spent, committing money here. And for the Raiders in 2026, that trade being voided and getting Crosby back, they're a better team. They're a better team this year with Max Crosby than they would have been without him. So I like some of the things that they've done, really spending a ton of money in free agency and saying, hey, we're going to turn over a roster that's terrible. Giants have some core players who can play, and they're bringing in guys who kind of fit what John Harbaugh is looking for. And I really think that they're going to be a much better team this year. I think they're going to be a formidable opponent in the NFC East, a little bit more so than the Commanders. And it's going to be tighter now with the Giants, the Cowboys, the Commanders. I still think the Eagles are far and away the best team in the division. But those teams can close that gap. Dallas hasn't done enough to impress me yet in this offseason. They've made some moves. They haven't, and they don't. Jerry Jones doesn't spend big money in free agency on outside guys. But the Giants, to me, are a team with a solid core, a great coach now, and getting in some players who can help him build that culture and change that culture of what they're trying to accomplish there. And they're probably going to be one of those teams, Josh, that a lot of people look at. Like, there's always the who's going to go worst to first or from the bottom to the top, that kind of thing. A lot of people are going to look at the Giants as, oh, they could be that team, first-year coach, make a good run. I don't know if they could do what Vrabel did with the Patriots last year, but they can be a playoff team.
By the way, to me, the Raiders are one move away from having an A off season, because there's one guy they haven't signed yet that I think is the perfect person for them to sign. The Raiders have to, Rob, sign Kirk Cousins. I think he would be the perfect mentor for Mendoza. I mean, you get two guys who believe in Jesus in the same locker room, and if anybody can teach Mendoza, right, what to avoid, how to avoid issues in the NFL and still be a successful man and player, it's Kirk Cousins, right? He's like the perfect guy for Mendoza.
Josh, it makes too much sense. It makes so much sense. Like, Kirk can, and they don't want to, they've said it, and I have no reason not to believe that you probably, and a lot of teams will want to wait a little bit on their first round pick quarterbacks. And we've seen it go both ways. Some guys start right from the gate and some guys don't start for a few weeks. I think bringing in Kirk Cousins, if he wants to go to Vegas, like Kirk Cousins in Vegas, like the whole Sin City needs Kirk Cousins. Like, forget about Mendoza and the quarterback room. Like, Las Vegas, the Strip, everybody out there needs a healthy dose of Kirk Cousins walking around and doing his thing. And he's a great guy, great personality, fun dude. And I think he can still play quarterback. I saw it in several games.
You saw it last year.
Yeah, I saw it. There was a Thursday night game where they essentially knocked the Buccaneers out of contention. Well, they still came down to that, but it was a backbreaker for them. He brought them back from like 18 points down in the fourth quarter, turned Kyle Pitts into a Hall of Famer and a second-team All-Pro, threw for like 200 yards to him in one game. Like, it was incredible, and it was vintage Kirk Cousins. So with protection, which could be a problem, but with protection and talent around him, I think he's got a shot. But like you said, to just be the guy to kind of groom Mendoza, it makes a lot of sense. And I thought the Geno Smith back to the Jets thing was interesting because I really thought Frank Reich would get his guy and it'd be Carson Wentz this time around. And he didn't. They still could go out there and bring in Carson and Geno and have two guys competing, but to me that was interesting. It made me take a deep dive into all the quarterbacks who started for I don't know why I did this, but I just felt like it. All the quarterbacks who started for the Jets since Geno was there the last time, and none of them have had a winning record. I thought it was a ton of them. I listed all of them and their records, except for Trevor Siemian. He was 2-2, so he is the winningest, best winning percentage of any Jets starting quarterback since Geno Smith was last a Jet in 15, 16, somewhere around there.
I God bless your heart, Rob Maaddi. I mean, you're as bad as me going down those rabbit holes.
It was late at night. I couldn't sleep. I'm looking up the numbers.
That explains everything.
Yeah.
Drinking your decaf coffee at 11 o'clock at night. Speaking of quarterbacks, before I let you go, I did want to ask you, Kyler Murray to the Vikings, I think is very fascinating. I think he could do to the Vikings what Daniel Jones did to the Colts. Be the guy who comes in, upsets the apple cart, because it's not that Kyler Murray can't play football. It's that there's a maturity thing there. And to me, you give a former quarterback in his face, right? Kevin O'Connell is way more disciplined and structured than Cliff Kingsbury is. Cliff Kingsbury is more of like, remember he ran away to Thailand after he lost the Cardinals job, right? So, to me, I think Kyler Murray, if he is committed, he could have a really good year in Minnesota with those weapons and that coach.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think both Kyler and Tua could have, they're going to be bargains because they're playing for their teams on a veteran minimum. So whatever they do it's going to be a bargain. But I think I don't know that O'Connell can do for Kyler Murray what he did for Sam Darnold, but he certainly makes sense to try. And they've got some pieces. They've got some weapons around him. You've got Justin Jefferson, so that helps. I don't know that I never loved Kyler Murray's style of play. He's credit to Kyler Murray for being that small and being able to hang in there and take a beating and take a pounding from 350-pound NFL defensive players who can run a 4.7 40 and a 4. Like, it's incredible. I don't know that his style of play is going to hold up, and he's going to eventually have to become more of he's got his head in a pocket. He's got to throw the football, and he can't take off it and run and take a beating. But in that offense, with that quarterback, coach, offensive coordinator mentality and the head coach and Kevin O'Connell, I think he can if he can't get the best out of him, I don't know who can. You look at him, you look at Sean McVay, you look at Kyle Shanahan, and those are some of the guys that you say you'd love to have working with your quarterback. And I think Tua has even more pieces: Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. If he can stay healthy, in Kevin Stefanski's offense. We've seen Kevin Stefanski take the Browns, of all teams, to the playoffs twice with Joe Flacco and with Baker Mayfield. I think in the NFC South, in that division with Tua, if he can get him right and get him playing like he did a couple years ago, he can get them to the playoffs. So I think both of these guys could be successful veterans minimum type bargain basement quarterbacks for both of their teams.
He's Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press. Give him a follow on X at Rob Maaddi, at The Real Rob Maaddi on Instagram. Of course, apnews.org for all of your NFL coverage. And we mentioned Kirk Cousins and Francisco Mendoza, Faith on the Field, heard Saturday and Sunday mornings right here on 97.3 ESPN or wherever you get your podcasts, which Faith on the Field basically has turned into a family affair with you, Rob. I think it's really fun how you've incorporated, because it used to just be you and your wife, and now it's you, your wife, and your daughters.
Yeah, we've had them incorporated a little bit. They've done some interviews. And by the way, this will excite you. I spent some time this week with Jameis Winston. Just
finally
a great dude. I didn't interview him for Faith on the Field yet. We put that. He's here. He's in we live in the same town here in Florida. I didn't even realize that. He's like, that's my home base. He's right down the road. So spent some quality time with Jameis. I had led a panel discussion on mental health with Damar Hamlin, and a bunch of NFL players were there, including Jameis, who, of course, Josh, asked the deepest, most thought-provoking questions of anyone in the audience. Of course, it was Jameis, and it was really cool.
I love that guy. That guy is like, he just exudes just like good everything. Like it's just I love the way, like you said, and like he's so good at being like, being thoughtful, but also just being this like bundle of like positive good energy. Like, and I love his perspective on life. I mean, that guy is I can't wait to hear an interview with you and him, because it's just like he's the apex.
And he's come a long way. If you remember Jameis in college.
Well, that's why I love it so much.
And I love the growth and the maturity, because we all make mistakes, and it's great to see. But appreciate that, Josh, and appreciate you, man. Keep up the great work.
Rob Maaddi, appreciate you jumping on as always. Again, Faith on the Field, wherever you get your podcast. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And don't forget, we will be broadcasting live next week for the big tournament. Yes, Hanging with Hennig will be at Hang Time Bar and Grill next Saturday, watching all the games. Join us for the madness next Saturday, 12 to 3 p.m. at Hang Time Bar and Grill. Looking for a great happy hour or night out with friends and family? Hang Time Bar and Grill, located on the White Horse Pike in Galloway, has live music every Tuesday night, DJ Bingo every Wednesday night, and check out their 30 TVs to watch your favorite team play any time of year. Enjoy all the college basketball tournament action in March with food and drink specials at the main bar, or check out their new private back deck patio. Plus, you can watch all the madness with Hanging with Hennig broadcasting live at Hang Time Bar and Grill in Galloway on March 21st. Check out Hang Time Bar and Grill on Facebook and Instagram to learn more about their weekly specials and one of the best happy hours in South Jersey. On the White Horse Pike in Galloway at Hang Time Bar and Grill.
For 23 years, we've helped athletes at all levels at Clemic Performance Method, from youth to pros, increase maximum velocity, acceleration, vertical leaps, and general physical preparedness. We offer youth, high school, and pro college classes. Our proven results have earned national recognition from NFL coaches, sponsors, and a feature on ESPN Radio's Sports Science segment. You can contact me directly at 609-742-6190, or as always, visit us on our website, ClemicPerformanceMethod.com.
If your bracket doesn't turn you into a millionaire, the New Jersey Lottery's new game, Millionaire for Life, just might. Catch all the college basketball tournament coverage on 97.3 ESPN. Brought to you by the New Jersey Lottery's Millionaire for Life.
Here's a tale of Linda trying to lose weight, but the med prices she found were all over the place.
Hidden fees and markups made her jaw drop low. Then she found Good RX. Now she's in the know.
GLP-1 subscriptions FDA approved.
With clear upfront pricing.
And same-day pickup.
That's Good RX, the no-nonsense way. Save time and money on prescriptions.
Get to goodrx.com/weight loss. GoodRx is not insurance.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-923-6829 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-923-6829. That's 800-923-6829. What do you have to lose? Call 800-923-6829. Again, 800-923-6829.
Winter is in full swing, and Aleve is here to keep you moving. When the cold weather sets in, everyday aches and pains can linger, but Aleve's got your back. With up to 12 hours of body pain relief per dose, Aleve keeps you going with long-lasting body pain relief to get you through whatever the season brings. Chilly days or cozy nights, Aleve gives you that long-lasting body pain relief you can count on this winter. Try Aleve. Use as directed for minor aches and pains.
Winter storms can change the road in an instant. When the unexpected happens, you want the area's top-of-mind high-end collision specialist. Moppert Brothers in Northfield is trusted to restore luxury and performance vehicles to exact factory specifications. Manufacturer certified by Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Ford, Tesla, and Polestar, their team uses advanced equipment and precision craftsmanship to protect your investment. After the storm, choose the name drivers have trusted for decades. Moppert Brothers of Northfield.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
Think Verizon is expensive? Think again. Anyone can bring their AT&T or T-Mobile bill to a Verizon store today, and we'll give you a better deal. So bring us your bill. Walk in, run in, pogo stick in, teleport if you can. Ride on the back of a rollerblading yak or fly in on the wings of a majestic falcon. Any way you can, bring your AT&T or T-Mobile bill to a Verizon store today, and we'll give you a better deal on the best network. Based on Root Metrics Best Overall Mobile Network Performance, U.S. second half 2025. All rights reserved. Must provide very recent postpaid consumer mobile bill in the name of the person redeeming the deal. Additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
Make plans to make the trip to the Pick for Wild Game Weekend. Try duck gumbo, wild boar flatbreads, bison nachos, and venison burgers made with recipes you'll only find in the Pines. Wild Game Weekend, March 13th through the 15th at the Piccalilli Inn, Route 206, Chemung, New Jersey.
Hanging out at the Piccalilli, nowhere tomorrow, everyone's happy, beers keep coming, tails piled high with friends and family, spirits to the sky.
Visit Piccalilli.com.
For over 135 years, First Bank of Sea Isle City has proudly served Cape May County with a commitment to maintaining a hometown feel. We provide secure, convenient deposit and loan products every day. We're more than just a bank. We're a trusted community partner, offering personalized banking solutions that make life easier for local families of all ages. First Bank of Sea Isle City. Look for our lighthouse in your neighborhood and discover what makes us different.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Now back to Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Bull is right. You are an ox and a moron.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Hello? Get back in the room.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
All right, Hanging with Hennig. We've run out of real estate here on 97.3 ESPN. I did want to squeeze in Wayne from Atlantic City. He sent a good text in a little bit later on the text board at 609-403-0973. Wayne says, the thing about trading with the Eagles is I wouldn't want to trade with Howie Roseman either. If you look at the last few trades, it never works out for the other team. And Wayne, yeah, we're all laughing about it, but I think it's very true. I think it's very true that we forget that Howie is one of the best. There's probably a lot of teams that are looking like, well, why do you want to trade A.J. Brown anyway? What is the reason? What is the purpose? Of course, we'll get into more of that coming up this week. Sports Backs with Mike Gill, don't forget, will be your next opportunity to qualify for the Phillies trip giveaway. Thanks to Rob Maaddi, Andy McNamara, Dr. Josh Land from Ivy Rehab, and thanks to all of you listening on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, and watching on YouTube next. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Hey, South Jersey, this is Billy Schwein. Tune in to The Locker Room every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN. Each weekend in The Locker Room, you will get